What's up, guys? It's the real main event, the Rogue Soldier, the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I'm Mrs. Crossfire.
And once again, you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 69, NOICE of Caught in Conversation. As always, I am the essential John L. Crossfire, and with me once again today, my lovely co-host, it's Mrs. Crossfire.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today, my love?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I am tired as fuck because we spent all night binging The Ultimatum on Netflix. For you guys that haven't checked it out, seriously check it out. It's trash TV at its finest, but there's 10 episodes. They go for an hour each. We watched the first 5 or 6 last night. We went to bed at like 3 a.m. and we got up this morning and squeezed another episode in before we started recording while we ate those lovely scrambled eggs that Mrs. Crossfire made. But we actually really haven't had much chance to talk because we kind of woke up, I had a shower, you cooked breakfast, we watched the show, and now we're here on the podcast.
Yep, ready to roll.
Mrs. Crossfire, what flavour is that, Mrs. Crossfire?
It's Oxy Shred Ultra Energy, and it is peach candy rings.
Yeah, we did another order from Mr. Fancy Candy. Shout out to those guys. Not a sponsor, but we've gotten lots of little gift boxes from them. You know, it's worth the price, I'd say. Like, you know, definitely buy in bulk if you can. But when we're trying these new energy drinks, they're actually sports drinks. They're similar to the Musashi ones that I always preach about here on the podcast.
Ooh. They are damn sugary too. Like, there's no sugar in them, they're no sugar, but they taste really fucking sweet.
Yeah, there's probably some sort of additives in there that is only good in small doses. But currently, what'd you say it is? It's peach rings. Peach candy rings.
Yeah.
And, we're going to go halves in that one, and I believe, what's the one you got on the table? It's passion fruit.
It's a passion fruit by Oxy Shred as well.
This could be a very, very interesting podcast. I'm just going to...
It's so good.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a live reaction there on the pod for the peach ring Oxy Shred. Holy shit. So basically, first and foremost, I'll hit the song and match of the week so my dumb ass doesn't forget. But the song of the week this week, it's not a Citizen Soldier song this week. Shock horror. The song of the week this week is going to be San Quentin by Nickelback. It's their newest song, and honestly, one of the best songs that they've done fucking ever. I've just been jamming that all week, and I can't get enough of it. I'm so fucking keen for their new album. I love watching all the TikTok videos where all the people are coming out of the woodwork that they were like, fuck it, like we've hated on Nickelback for so many years, but fuck it, this song slaps.
Yeah, but then you had a lot of people too that it was like, look at this photograph, and they're literally like, ugh, I hate Nickelback. And then in the background, look at this photograph.
There's always that one, so like Saving Me, that one, How You Remind Me. Like they're always the ones that people are like, I don't like Nickelback, but I like this song. But no, even the Nickelback haters, they're like, because you hear the first opening riff and it's like a metalcore riff, and they're like, what the fuck's this? And then it's like, Chad Kroger's fucking vocals hit, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's fucking dope. But the song of the week this week, San Quentin by Nickelback. And the match of the week this week, we're actually going to do a watch-along of it on the tail end of this podcast after we rant for however long we rant. It's me and Mrs. Crossfire. We could be here for an hour, could be here for 2. We'll see what it is. But the match of the week this week is going to be Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 2005. We'd been watching 2005. I literally started watching 05 WWE literally at the start of 2020, because I've been going Raw, SmackDown, plus the pay-per-views, and then we got to the point where we got to the kind of Eddie and Ray feud, and Mrs. Crossfire then decides that, I want to jump on board, so now we're kind of just watching bits and pieces here and there, because Mrs. Crossfire wanted to watch with me, but we're actually up to SummerSlam 05 for the last, been up to SummerSlam 05 since like March, and we finally got through it, but that match, when we put out feelers for watch-alongs, was actually suggested, so we thought, screw it. We watched the rest of the SummerSlam 05 card, which still holds up. Fantastic card. Batista was over as fuck in 05, and it's really sad that he was only around, really, for 5 years.
I was literally saying to you, I miss Batista.
I walk alone. I legit almost made that the song of the week just for, like, shits and gigs as well, but the match of the week this week, which we are going to do a watch along, as I just said, at the tail end of this podcast. Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. Say it however you want. It's another icon versus icon, or legend versus icon, or legend versus legend. I can't remember how they marketed it. It was something along those fucking lines, but it was Hulkamania versus the Showstopper, SummerSlam 2005. I cannot wait for you to watch it, because I know for a fact that this is one that you've seen clips here and there in like documentaries and that, where you know Shawn's overselling and just being an absolute fuckwit. He kind of almost regressed to 90s Shawn in a way, just to stick it to Hulk Hogan, which hilarious. Cannot wait to get into that. But I've actually got a question sent in from my mate Bo, but it ties into that, so I'll have to wait until after we've seen the match, so that way I don't just straight up give Mrs. Crossfire spoilers to the result. I think you've seen who won, but just in case it's not fresh in your mind,
it's not as fresh because I've only really seen the clips, because when
literally you'll start watching the match and be like, oh yeah, okay.
Because I watched a lot in 2005 and I've seen a lot of matches, but I haven't seen much of pay-per-views. It was mainly like Raw and SmackDown, because that's what was on Foxtel at the time. Or should I say Ozstar back in the day?
Fucking hell, how old are you?
Shut up, you're older than me.
That's what A-Swag said to me when I was telling him about my DVD collection. He was like, what the fuck?
Like, what are DVDs?
But yeah, the match of the week, as I said, it's going to be Hulk versus Shawn. We'll get into that, but where do we start? Hopefully I remember to ask that question from Bo, by the way, because I didn't jot it down. I know what it is in my head, but where do we start on this week's episode? Because this was literally, in a lot of ways, it is kind of a filler episode to an extent, because we're like, fuck it, let's just shoot the shit. You've got the day off, do a watch along, have some fun. And then in the last couple of days, yet again, like last time you were on, shit's just gone crazy. We've got Triple H has announced that Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series, despite the fact that the poster is red and blue, but I suppose it still makes sense because it does represent both brands. Raw versus SmackDown, off the table. We have War Games, and Mrs. Crossfire and I did speak about this yesterday as we record this. We are hoping to do Markapalooza 3, and it was kind of apropos that the very first one was Survivor Series, and we're going to do it, you know, and book kind of our own War Games matches and see what the respective one comes up with. So that'll be fun in the next, you know, coming weeks, you know, to months. It's the end of November, so we've still got a little bit of time, so that's going to be fun. But Triple H has announced War Games as a thing for the first time ever on the main roster. And then yesterday, AEW, like, I know a lot of the AEW talk lately, it's been a little bit negative. I do apologize for that, but, you know, CM Punk and Tony Khan and all the fun stuff that we've all, that we well and truly, you know, beat a dead hot with all that stuff. But Chris Jericho becomes the Ring of Honor World Champion. Saraya debuts. And then WWE, there's all these hints that maybe it's Bray Wyatt, maybe Karrion Kross is getting a character overhaul, but then you can also tie that back in with Bray Wyatt. Like, where do we start? What do we unpack first? Like, what are you vibing? Because there's a lot of shit that's been thrown out that we could easily sit here and go 20, 30 minutes a piece. Like,
I just wish that I seen, like, Saraya come out, like, got to actually experience it, because I would have popped so hard. Like, we just seen, like, the spoilers mainly just, like, on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, damn it.
It's like the one episode that, like, because, like, they posted the clip, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I didn't actually see who it was until I watched the clip, and you hear the opening riff of Zombified by Falling in Reverse, of course, Ronnie Radke and Saraya, a.k.a. Paige from WWE, you know, they're dating in real life. You hear the fucking, the opening riff, and I'm like, fucking yes, let's go. There's no nameplate. It's just kind of static because, you know, they build up to who the name is. And then her name pops up. And the pop from the people in attendance is actually insane. And then she comes out and she does, like, basically the same thing she was doing as Paige. Like, you know, the screaming and the this is my house and yada, yada, yada. They haven't confirmed nor denied whether she has or hasn't been cleared to wrestle. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye. As a fan, I kind of hope she has been. But at the same time, it's the same time. Like, even now, every time I watch Edge or Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, there's still that little nagging thing in the back of my head where it's just like, fuck. I'm so worried.
Just a shout out to my brother, like, just before we were actually talking about this, though. So Ruby got dropped pretty much on her face and she's had a previous nose injury by Taya Conti, and Gary's like, if Paige actually starts wrestling, keep Paige the fuck away from her. Like, well, holy shit.
Accidents happen. Like, Ty, you know, she's still green, but she has improved a lot. I'll give her credit.
She has improved a lot.
But someone like Jade Cargill, who, I'll give her credit, she's embraced the hate where everyone says that she's green, which she is, but she's literally turned it into a gimmick where she's cosplaying as Jade from Mortal Kombat, or she literally painted herself green and came out as She-Hulk, like, and then, of course, green, so she was money, and then she dyed her hair green, so kudos for her for being like, fuck that, taking the hate, making it her own thing. But that does worry me, because her being in the ring with Paige, Saraya, you know, it's going to get used to calling her Saraya, even though that's Saraya. Her real fucking name. But her being in the ring with Saraya, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's an accent thing. I think it's Saraya. Yeah. But, you know, that worries me. And the amount of, you know, I'm going to sound like a fucking ultimate, like, internet nerd here, but the amount of botches that we have had and injuries and all of that fun stuff in AEW in such a short amount of time. Like, what are we going on, 3 or 4 years now? I think it's 3 years with a TV deal this year, but all up. I just burped into the microphone, my bad. Not even going to edit that out. That was the peach energy drink coming back.
Yeah, I had a little
bit. You know, they've been on TV about 3 years, and all around as a company, it's been in existence for 4 years, or at least in the works for 4 years. And the amount of injuries and just nasty stuff that's happened, it is concerning. It's very concerning when you know someone's, you know, previous injury history.
Yeah, that's what worries me a lot. It's just like, as soon as she like came out, I was both excited and I'm like, oh fuck. At the same time, like, I hope she's good.
Like Bryan Danielson himself, like, he came in like a house on fire, and then he was just out with a concussion for a couple of months, and that's where being a part of the Blackpool Combat Club kind of came in handy, because, hey, he didn't really have to do much. He was kind of just, you know, there, but it fucking worries me, because his neck injuries and stuff, and then, here's another concussion. Like, I'm happy to see Saraya. I fucking popped, and as I said, and as Mrs. Crossfire said, you know, we don't watch AEW regularly. We keep it up on, you know, online, but that's one that I wish we had have been able to watch and just be like, who's it going to be? Because
that experience.
And it's a spoiler at this point because it doesn't air until tomorrow, but by the time this episode drops, it will. The Great Muta saving Sting in 2022. I know that, you know, there's a lot of young fans that are going to be like, what's that old man in the mask doing in that ring? And to those children, I say, get a fucking education, because the Great Muta, along with, you know, Jushin Thunder Liger and Antonio Inoki, one of, if not the biggest name in, you know, Japanese wrestling, and he's kind of on, like, he's doing what Jushin Thunder Liger did at the start of 2020 now. He's going on, like, a little retirement tour where at the end of 2023, start of 2024, he's officially retiring, and it's just so crazy to see that, like, why that, like, I understand Saraya was a big deal, like, she's a former WWE name, but, like, the AEW fan base, they don't pander to the casuals like WWE do, and look, more power to them. It's two separate products, that's fine. But seeing as how you've already got that niche audience, you're not really gonna go more than 1 million, maybe 2 million tops live, right? They've cracked 1 million a few times. I don't think they're ever gonna go more than 2 million, even if they do reach that point. But you're already pandering to the hardcore fans. Why wouldn't you do Muta live on Dynamite instead of on Rampage where everyone leaks it? Like, I know in a way it makes sense because it gets people talking and it makes people want to tune in, but I can literally just boot up the AEW YouTube channel and be like, okay, here's the only clip that I really fucking care about. Watch that one clip and I'm done. Like,
yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Maybe I just, again, at my ADHD, I sometimes rant, but I just feel like, you know, why would you do that? The Great Muta? Like, fuck. I get you don't want to overshadow Saraya, and by that logic, being a former WWE person, which does get the casuals to an extent, you don't want to put that on Rampage either, but I'm just like, fuck, like, how weird. Like, Saraya and the Great Muta, like, fuck it, just put them on the same show. Like, yeah, one might outshadow the other, but it just seems so strange to, I don't know, I don't own a wrestling company, so maybe I'm doing it all wrong, but...
See, for me, like, again...
I thought it was fake. Like, I was like, there's no way this is a real photo.
I only know, like, a little bit about, like, the wrestling business as such. But for me, I feel like if they had them on the same show, it would still work. Like, it wouldn't, like, it could outshadow the other, but you look at it...
It's a 2-hour broadcast.
You look at it, they both cater to two different audiences. So, like, from a marketing perspective, you look at it and it's like Saraya, like, she pretty much was one of the leading foundations of women's wrestling as such. Like,
she breaks barriers.
She's broke the barriers. So you're getting in girls that are, like, watched her and, like, loved her when she was Paige, not Saraya. So it's like, you look at that and it's like, whoa, holy fuck, like, she's back. But then you've got, like, the real hardcore fans that are, like, into New Japan and stuff, and it's like, holy fuck, like, the Great Muda's here. Like, you know what I mean? So it could go either way. But yeah, I can see where you can say that it could outshadow the other, but then it caters to two markets.
I'm just thinking, and this is just me being a mark, but obviously, you think about All Out last year, right? And the lead up to that. That's when we were still watching and I was dodging spoilers left and right. My reaction when Minoru Suzuki fucking walked down that ramp was just like, holy shit. And then it All Out, him and Moxley just smacking the shit out of each other. I was marking out, and you and your brother Gaz were kind of laughing at me like, oh, you fucking mark. Like, and I'm just like, yes, like, like the Great Muda, I feel, walking out live on Dynamite, you know, especially when he's saving Sting. Like, I feel like AEW, not ruined Sting, obviously, because look at the legacy he's got, but they've kind of, you know, pushed him beyond being a special attraction. He's just there wrestling like every other week, and look, more power to him. He's doing what he loves, but he doesn't feel as special. So I feel like to make him feel more special, have him in the ring on Dynamite, and everyone's like, oh, you know, it stings. But all of a sudden, the Great Muda and Sting on a live broadcast, national television. But I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that.
I literally just had an idea. Why didn't they do a bit of a build, like whatever the fuck that WWE is doing at the moment with this fucking White Rabbit stuff? Like, why didn't they do a bit of a build for Great Muda for this show even? Like, so even if fucking, like, on, like, Dark or one of the other, like, programs that they have, what was
even
the one?
Even just social media, like, well, they've got Dark Elevation, then they've got Dynamite, and then the one where he was on, which is the Rampage, which is the one that airs after SmackDown. And they have one live Rampage, like a month or whatever, and then every other week it's taped after Dynamite.
And even with Rampage, why didn't they just go, like, someone from New Japan, like, hint at it is going to be at, like, Dynamite? So it's like, they're kind of like, oh, they're building that anticipation. People are seeing it all over YouTube. They're going and watching YouTube to look at Rampage and stuff, and it's like, fuck, I have to tune in. That's going to pop their ratings. Like,
because, like, with Rampage, usually, I think it only goes an hour, but it airs after SmackDown, so it's ratings. I hate talking about ratings, brother, but its ratings aren't the best. But I do give them the benefit of the doubt there, where it's late at night, right? Yeah. Like, it's still, for a wrestling show from a company that's only a couple of years old, still fantastic, right? But it's obviously not where they'd want it to be. But it's usually taped, but for some reason, because this week, because it was like Grand Slam, because of where they were in, I think it was New York or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember why they did it, but they did it last year, and every time, I think they're going to do it a yearly thing now, where it's special Dynamite, special Rampage. So Rampage this week, rather than being 1 hour, was 2 hours. Now, maybe having a live 2-hour show at that time of night wouldn't benefit, but why not just keep it at an hour? And because it's Grand Slam, do a special live 1 hour broadcast at least. At least I just feel like having it live would have meant so much more. Like, again, it builds height with amongst the hardcores, but I just feel like, think about, you know, it's a late Friday night in the US. You've just watched SmackDown, and you're like, okay, kind of fallen asleep, but Rampage is on, it's live. I've got to check it out because, you know, it's live. Anything can happen. Yeah. Well, even when you say anything can happen, I don't think you have the Great Muda save Sting in 2022 on your fucking bingo card.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like,
I see, I'm just, you know me, I'm just a mark for a lot of, like, I'm not an expert, but, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of modern day New Japan. Like, I respect everyone there, but I'm just kind of lost its luster a lot when, you know, the Bucks and Kenny lost when they left. That's just me. People may disagree. Like, don't get me wrong, Okada, Tanahashi, Jonah's currently killing it in New Japan, which I fucking love seeing online. But you think about the Japanese legends, like a Great Muta. For that, like the Japanese legends and like the Lucha Libre legends, like Dr. Wagner and stuff like that, for me, like Blue Demon, like that's like, I look at that and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a little bitch boy when it comes to wrestling, and it's the respect thing where I'm like, please sir, thank you sir. But seeing the Great Muta at 66 years old, I think he is, 66, 67, something like that, he's mid-60s anyway, still being in such a fucking amazing shape, still killing it, and then seeing him come face to face with Sting, who have so much history in NWA/WCW back in the day, that shit gets my run. Like, some of it happened before I was even born, but I've gone back and I've watched it over and over and over, and it's just like, oh, just it gets me going, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at me right now, look at you kind of laughing at me. That's all right. I'm getting excited.
Get passionate. There's passion there.
But I don't know. But we'll dial it back. We'll go back to Saraya. Bottom line is, Great Muta's in AEW, and I'm in the photo. He was facing off with, I believe it was Buddy Murphy in the photo. Looked like it. All I'm saying is, give me the Great Muta versus Buddy Matthews, I should say. Give me the Great Muta versus Matthews, because that would be fucking amazing. Because, as I said, Muta can still go. Murphy, very influenced, or Matthews, fucking come at me. Buddy is very influenced by, like, the Japanese style.
Yeah.
And he's currently, he's been in and out feuding with Sting and Darby. So give me the Great Muta. Maybe not live on Dynamite. Maybe build it up and save it for Full Gear. But give me the Great Muta performing it. Like, even if it's the Great Muta and Sting versus, like, Brody King and Buddy Matthews or something like that. But I need to see Murphy, Matthews, whatever the fuck his name is. Now that I'm overthinking it, I'm going to keep messing it up, but I need to see that match. But Saraya, if she is cleared, who do you want to see her wrestle? Because I know the obvious thing is make her champion. No, like, just take a breath. We saw what they did with Ruby. She came in, and now she's just floating about like nothing, because Tony Khan in the classic Toy Story meme, I don't want to play with you anymore.
That's literally what I was thinking. I'm worried she's going to just fall in the fold kind of thing.
Because, like, she confronts, Britt Baker and Serena Deeb and Jamie Hayter. First of all, Saraya versus Britt Baker. Yes, please. Saraya versus Serena Deeb. From a wrestling standpoint, yes, please. Saraya versus Toni Storm. Who the fuck would have ever had that on their bingo card?
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
Because Tony was killing it in, like, Japan and stuff. But by that point, Saraya was already in WWE. So, like, someone correct me if I'm wrong. To my knowledge, they have never crossed paths. I could be wrong. But even still, just the thought of Paige versus Toni Storm, or now Saraya versus Toni Storm, like, it's hard because Toni is currently the interim women's champion, which I've ranted about that enough, but I still, like, I feel like that's one that needs to happen. Like, even them as a tag team, I dig the fuck out of that. Like, if Thunder Rosa does come back, Saraya versus Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
It could be an issue because Thunder Rosa apparently has issues listening to veterans, and Paige would give her a nice little receipt, but Saraya versus Thunder Rosa on paper does excite me.
Same.
Like, take a look at the roster, Mr. Fire. I know that you're, we haven't watched for a while, but you're still a very big fan and you keep up to date. Like, if you're fantasy booking, what are the top 3 matches do you want to see Saraya in?
Toni Storm. I reckon
that's number 1 for me. I feel
that'd be sick. I reckon. Definitely Ruby Soho, because they've probably crossed. I don't know if they've crossed before, but I just feel like that'd be really good.
They had, like, the Riot Squad, and then they did the same thing with Absolution. And
yes.
They kind of, like, shat all over that because they built it up, like, they kept literally the same week they debuted, and it was like, they're like, oh, they're going to have a massive face-off in the Rumble and then maybe feud, and never really went into anything. But they've crossed paths a few times, but I think even at this stage of their career, like, for example, just off topic, Chris Jericho, everyone's like, he's out of shape, he's this, that. I personally think he's doing the best work, even in ring, that he's ever done. So I look at Saraya, and now that she's been in the business for X amount of years, and she's been there, done that, and she's grew as a performer, same as Ruby. I feel like those two are the best that they've been from the wrestling mind-wise, and I would be very interested in seeing that clash.
Yeah, like, see, I don't know with her neck injuries if this would be the best thing, but I wouldn't mind, like, a hardcore match with Britt Baker. I reckon that'd be sick.
Well, I was thinking even on the lines with that, with Ruby. Because, you know, she did a lot of, you know, hardcore stuff on the indies to get noticed when she was Heidi Lovelace. Like, you think, like, maybe not Lights Out because that's overused, but, like, you know, a Falls Count Anywhere match or whatever where Saraya and Ruby Riott are just brawling all over the arena and they take it into the stands and out into the parking lot. Like, those, that you know for a fact that style, like, those two women who live and breathe professional wrestling and, they, you know, they want to wrestle like the boys, dare I say, because for some reason that expression in 2022 is still being fucking thrown around. They want to wrestle like the boys. Like, I could see them just killing each other. Throw them in a cage together, like...
Yeah, fuck it. Chuck fucking Britt in there with them. Like, I reckon it'd be great.
Just, there's so many, like, and even just from a character standpoint, I want a little Saraya Abaddon face-off, or maybe...
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Let's listen to the words of Saraya's theme song, Zombified. Maybe Saraya doesn't get cleared, and maybe she's the handler for Abaddon.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
You know, like, just, why not? Fucking turn a heel, brother.
Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Or even as a face it'd work, but like that's that's something that excites me. And then all the young, you know, talent that are coming up from like a Willow Nightingale, right?
Yes.
She's floated around on Dark, and you know she's been on. I think she's been on Rampage. I can't remember off the top of my head if she's been on Dynamite. I think she has once or twice, but well, if you know, all perfect world, she's cleared. Saraya versus Willow Nightingale. I know it's kind of a left field, you know, sort of match, but she's wrestling on Dark. What about, you know, if she does end up with Dark or Dark Elevation, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, Saraya versus Kiera Hogan, or you know, Saraya versus Trisha Dora or stuff like that. Like, there's so much young talent, not even on the actual roster, but has come through there that 100% could, you know, see them working with.
For sure.
Like, even, I'm not the biggest fan of her, like, as a wrestler, to be honest, but Madison Rayne has showed up recently in AEW. Saraya versus Madison Rayne, as much as it's a clash of styles, I feel would be a pretty good match.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
But, I don't know. Do you think that she's going to wrestle?
I don't know. I feel like
because they kind of tiptoed around it, so it could go either way, but...
Could go either way, but I feel like she's
gonna get. I don't know. Even if she doesn't wrestle, I feel like, and this is literally harkening back to what me and Hellfire and I, Big James and I, what the fuck you want to call him now, we're talking about Stone Cold. I'm like, oh, he's not gonna have a match. They're just gonna have a brawl. But I do say, whether she wrestles or not, she's gonna get physical. Well, she has to.
Before she got out of the WWE contract, she literally said, "I want to be GM again." So she could even be their version of like a GM or something too, like.
Well, she has, you know, and even then she was kind of thrust upon a bit when she was managing Absolution. You could do something like that, like someone like Athena, right? She's being outnumbered by Jade because she's got Red Velvet and Stokely Hathaway, and I can't think off the top of my head who the other one is with them. I think it might actually be Kiera Hogan, is it? That's with them.
Oh, I can't remember.
Scream at me and tell me I'm wrong, but like just having Saraya like in Athena's corner to kind of even the odds and be that bad bitch and be like, no, like, you know, when they just fucking...
Oh, that'd actually be sick, though.
But even, like, those two having a match, like...
So, even if you had fucking, like, Paige go with, like, a zombie gimmick or something, and, like, with Abaddon, and then you had, I don't know who she'd tag with, but, like, someone like Athena, who's meant to be, like...
Well, she's the fallen goddess, right?
Yeah,
so...
and she's kind of, like, even, you could zombify her, but it's, like... Even if,
like... She's almost doing a borderline, like, werewolf thing
I was thinking,
at one point in WWE
I was thinking she was giving me post-apocalyptic vibes. Yeah. So, like, she's fighting the zombies. Yeah. Like, that'd be sick, too. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's just me shit. But like, you know.
I fucking popped. I really did. But, as I said, I worry, but I'm hype. I'm hype. I am hype. But nothing else, however else it ends, I'm hype.
Yeah, same, I'm keen to see what happens.
Now, this is where there's 100 different theories, and I actually sent you one on TikTok, which I'm actually pushing for now, but the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
Who, what, where, when, how, why?
It's just blowing my mind. I just don't know. Because it's like...
every theory that I've heard has made sense.
It's given me Fiend vibes, but at the same time, you've hinted that that's literally what Cross used to be, is the White Rabbit. And then when I see the red lights, I think of him when he was in bloody NXT, and you had Scarlett coming out to the red lights. I'm like, she's going to start wrestling. Like, is it going to be her? Like, is it going to be, like, Scarlett's going to be, like, this White Rabbit chick? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Like, I don't know where this could go. There's so many different options.
Because I said this when Braun Strowman first came back a couple of weeks ago, like, personal feelings about him aside, I was like, what if we get kind of like a hybrid of Eater of Worlds Bray and Fiend Bray mixed into one, and then his new, like, disciples, for lack of a better term, are Dexter Lumis, and not really new because Braun's been in the Wyatt family, but basically, you know, the new version of the Wyatt family, you know, the Cult of Wyndham, or whatever it's fucking called, Wyatt, Lumis, Braun.
Yeah, well,
like, already...
Look, I was even saying, like, the other day to you, I was like, when we seen that Huskus mask, that the guy that made the Fiend's mask,
they leaked a picture of the rabbit, the person that actually made the Fiend costume leaked a apparent photo that's apparently leaked to Bray with like an evil bunny that kind of does resemble Rambling Rabbit, which made Mrs. Crossfire remember the Huskus mask.
Huskus mask. And then it was kind of like, I was just like, hey, you literally could have Braun as Huskus and then like Dexter Lumis as the White Rabbit, and they're like his accompaniments to the ring and stuff. And then like, even if it ended up being like how Reckoning was, as much as a lot of people didn't like Reckoning, it was kind of like, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was like, you literally could have them in masks and then it's revealed who they are. Like, build it up and kind of try and hide it a little bit, but...
I still say Retribution could have gone way further than it did. Like, that's an unpopular opinion, but it started off strong. They just didn't know where they were
Retribution. Going. Why am I saying Reckoning?
Mia Yim was Reckoning in Retribution.
That's what I'm getting.
It's all good. I'm not trying to mansplain.
No. I was just literally like, fuck, I'm saying it wrong.
No. Reckoning was in Retribution, but
that's where I got confused.
It was just a little side note, just my ADHD, because I know.
No, thank you, because otherwise I would have kept going, and people would be like, "What the fuck is she on about?"
The internet hates when you compliment Retribution because it's the worst faction of all time and worst gimmick I've ever seen. Let's forget Triple H fucking a mannequin pretending it was a corpse and it was Kane's dead girlfriend. But yeah, Retribution's the worst thing that ever happened in wrestling. Fuck off. But like,
I like the masks and things.
But I sent you one on TikTok, which was kind of on the same vibe, right? Where they're like, Bray Wyatt is like, you know, he's the puppet master, right?
I don't know if I've seen that yet.
I sent it to you like last night, so maybe you haven't watched it yet. But basically, this dude breaks it down, and he said pretty much everything we've said, but he put it like better. He basically like, okay, so he's a hybrid of Eater of Worlds / Fiend, which I guess in a way makes him Firefly Funhouse Bray, so he's the puppet master. And then, obviously, Cross was the White Rabbit in Lucha Underground, so he's the White Rabbit, right? He's Ramblin' Rabbit brought to life. Mercy the Buzzard, who I'd actually completely forgot about when thinking about, okay, what if Cross and Loomis are the White Rabbits, or Loomis by himself is White Rabbit? I completely forgot about the Buzzard, which I don't know how, because his whole thing was follow the Buzzards. But Mercy the Buzzard, which was the crazy unhinged one, is Dexter Loomis, right? And then they said Scarlett is Abby the Witch. So they mentioned everyone except for Huskus, but we've already mentioned Braun. Slip him right into that slot.
Well, the rabbit, could Cross come into it and he becomes the White Rabbit again?
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. That was the TikTok video I sent you. This guy full broke it down. I'll just quickly like recap because I ranted while trying to explain that. But Bray's the puppet master. Loomis is Mercy the Buzzard, who I'd somehow forgotten about.
Yeah, I just
Scarlett's Abby the Witch.
Yep.
Cross, obviously the White Rabbit. He's been the White Rabbit. That they were the four they did, but they didn't mention Huskus. But that's what I'm saying. They haven't mentioned Huskus. Chuck Braun straight in there.
I know this is a sore point for people, but would Alexa come back? Like, would she be... Do you reckon
look,
she'd be
if
part
you
of
want
it?
to do a living embodiment of Sister Abigail,
Yes, true.
bring Lexi back into the fold, because people get so mad when I say this, but they're like, you know, she kept his gimmick after he was released and blah, blah, blah. I personally think, like, Bray Wyatt, fantastic character work, love the Fiend, but for that specific little bit of storyline they were doing with that specific part of the supernatural stuff, I thought Lexi as a character was portraying it more convincingly.
Yeah.
And people hate when I say that. I'm not trying to be edgy or cause an argument when I say that, but just I look at The Fiend and it was great, but when it come to the way that she was dark and twisted, I feel like she committed more to it. And look, you know, Bray was going through a lot of stuff. He lost Brody. His head wasn't in it. You know, I'm not trying to make excuses, but it is what it is. Like, you know, but Alexa killed that role. And the fact that people got so mad that she was still doing it when Bray left, I was like, why? She's doing a role, she's good, and everyone's like, oh, she's back to normal, but she's still got Lily. That's stupid. It's just a cash grab. Well, it is. It's a cash grab because they're selling like hotcakes at live events, but Lily's what keeps her sane.
Yeah.
What if Bray takes her away?
Yeah, true. Maybe that's how they get rid of her, like, eventually. Yeah, that's cool.
Like Scarlett has a mini feud with Alexa to kind of, you know, get her to... you know, snap, per se.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be cool if she was kind of like the witchy kind of person. The chick that used to be in UK, I think she was released. She's dating one of the Pretty Deadly boys.
Isla Dawn. Was she
Isla Dawn.
Was she in the crop of releases? I can't remember.
I think she... Oh, actually...
I don't think her name was in there. I think she's coming to NXT... I was going to say NXT 2.0, but I think she is coming to the US at some point.
I liked her gimmick. That's why I was like, she'd even be cool.
Because I'm positive they showed a vignette for her on something we were watching the other day. Maybe
they might have.
Maybe everything blends together. We were watching something.
So much. Yeah, I can't think.
Oh, actually, I think it might have been when they played the video package on the history of NXT to, UK at Worlds Collide. I think maybe she popped up in that. Maybe that's what I'm getting confused with. But yeah, Isla Dawn. I could Google it, but whatever. She's fantastic. I get what you're saying. Yeah, she could fit into that role perfectly.
Yeah, as well. That'd be another one. Or even with Sister Abigail, even know that Lexi's got that, you know, I guess, association with the Fiend. You could even go down the route of Liv. I reckon she'd do it really well.
Liv Morgan would be fantastic in that role. But it has to be, Bray. Right? Like, we can sit here and talk about,
it has to be. Even when you looked at the Extreme Rules poster,
and someone pointed out, if you look at all, and this isn't like, it's not a fan-made thing, it's the actual thing, but all the other match graphics actually didn't have it, from what I could see. The Ronda and Liv one didn't have it. And there was a couple that Sean...
match graphic that it was
There was a couple that Sean sent me, and they're not on there, but the Fight Pit match with Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle.
Does he come out in that match? Is that a hint that
he's the Fiend gonna like right the wrongs from that really fucking bad feud that he had with Seth Rollins? Like, is he gonna, you know, Papa H is gonna, you know, Men in Black it, and he's gonna push the button and you remember nothing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, of course, they had the Hell in a Cell match that ended in a no context because, you know, fucking basically Seth was going to murder the Fiend with a sledgehammer, and the referee stopped the match. And then they had the Falls Count Anywhere match at Saudi, which the Fiend did win, but it was, And, you know, people still say, oh, the Fiend losing to Goldberg killed him. I still think the Fiend didn't have an emotional attachment to Goldberg, so he didn't put the effort in.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it anyway, but it could be.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool.
Imagine, like, you get, you know, Swerve, bro. Bray Wyatt has history with Randy Orton. Randy Orton at one point slid his way in, pun intended, because he's the Viper, to the fucking Wyatt family. He burnt down Sister Abigail's shack, and he did this, and he did that. After all this time, is Bray Wyatt going to be like, hey, Riddle, Randy's a bad person.
Ooh.
Hey.
I know this is very...
Because how many times have we said...
sorry, I just totally dawned on something. Can I tell you?
I'll just quickly blurt this out.
Okay.
But how many times have we said what a swerve it would be if instead of Randy Orton turning on Riddle like the predictable thing, Riddle RKO's Randy. And he's the heel when they finally have their match. What if it's Bray Wyatt that's like, hey, Riddle, bro.
Yeah. So with this, it's very Kane-esque. It's very, it's giving me very, who was going to say? There's someone I was going to say. Oh, shit. I can't think now.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
why I needed to get it out.
So
Because ADHD. I can't think of it now. It's totally lost. It was so good too. It was literally very Kane-esque. Oh, very Matt Hardy-esque. Like, esque.
Oh, broken Matt Hardy, yeah?
Yeah. He's born again from the fire because remember he got burnt.
Yes, and then he was randomly healed in that, the
Healed.
the CGI that people shat on. But again, I thought the transition was cool because I'm just a fan of horror.
But he was born again.
Yeah.
And that's why he's a mixture of the fucking two of them. He's born again. It's like he's fixed. And it's like, that's why he's all like this now. Like, it's hard to kind of like word it because my mind is all scattered now.
Yeah, well, the way it ended was weird anyway because like he was healed from the burns, but then Alexa kind of turned on him, which allowed Randy to win, and then he was like, "Witches be wild," and which is
yeah,
crazy on bitches be wild, and which is kind of funny. And then he was released after that, so that was literally the payoff. But yeah, maybe could kind of go back into that again because maybe he's going to finish the feud with Orton using Riddle as a pawn.
Yeah, true.
Like, you can look at it as either way, but I don't know. Honestly, Bray versus Seth does excite me. Like, Seth, for the last year or so, last 2 years has been...
Oh, this Messiah
everyone's
thing.
like, Seth needs to be... No. He is proving that, you don't need a championship. He has carried the company on, like, maybe from a deserving or a reward standpoint, I understand, but character-wise, he's carried the company on his back tenfold, and he just proved that the feud that he had with Cody, he's proving that, with the feud that he had with Mysterio, like, he took his eye and all that stupid shit, but they made it work. And now this feud with Riddle, making Riddle, who, for the most part, was considered a joke, and I guess he doesn't really mind, that's just him, he's a chill dude, but I think he's the perfect foil to bring out that serious side of Matt Riddle as Seth Rollins. So I'm just like, Seth versus Bray for all time's sake, why not? But what do you see happening? We can sit here and speculate, but there was the QR code with the rabbit, was playing Hangman. He spelt out demon at some point, the rabbit did, which is kind of funny because it's like a nod, at the Fiend. But then there was a date, which was, as we record this, tomorrow's episode of SmackDown. So by the time this goes out, fucking Bray Wyatt could be in the WWE or it could be anyone else. And that's what another reason makes me think maybe it's just cross rebranding. But I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Before he comes back.
I thought even when it said demon, I went to the obvious route and was like, Demon Finn. Like, Demon Finn is now going to be like an alter ego that runs the Judgment Day. That was another thing.
I'll give you credit. Something you said yesterday.
Yeah.
What if, because there was all these rumors that the reason Edge left was he didn't want it to take a supernatural route. He was like doing the broody stuff, but within reason.
Yeah.
And you even said, what if Demon, White Rabbit, blah, blah, blah. What if Bray Wyatt becomes the new leader of the Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Like that.
That's it. Yeah.
Or maybe we could be all wrong and this is where fucking Joe Gacy and his fucking boys get called up to SmackDown. Which, as I love Joe Gacy, but that'd kind of be like anticlimactic at this point with all the rumors and speculation. But with the teaser date, do you think that, as it stands right now, do you think that something's going to happen actually at SmackDown? Or is it just we're going to get more information at SmackDown?
I feel like it's going to be more information.
Because that's where I'm leaning.
And I feel like you're not going to find out to at least Extreme Rules. That's when I feel like it's going to play and it's going to be out. That's the smart route to go, I reckon, is build it up more, really get the suspense. Because everyone's talking about it. Everyone's thinking about it. Everyone's looking up that freaking QR code. Like, there's a lot of buzz happening right now.
Because even if you go like, hey, here's this, on SmackDown, blah, 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 and you build it up, and then at, Extreme Rules, you get another date, but that's the definitive date. And even if it's another 2-3 weeks down the line and it's than Survivor Series.
Yeah.
You could keep building it. Like,
and you look at it with these dates too. It's also getting your ratings. People are like, shit, something's going to happen. I need to tune in.
Remember back in the day, they used to always do these types of vignettes.
Yeah.
And you build it and you build it and you build it. Like, I remember, people shat on it because the payoff was kind of but there was like all these the end of the world as we know it, like almost post-apocalyptic kind of vignettes. And then it ended up just being Chris Jericho coming back, and then he was just back to being Y2J. But that was because at the last minute, Vince was like, oh no, he changed his mind, right?
Yeah.
But you build it up. I'm going to keep using this example. When Chris Jericho first came to the WWE, right? And it was the countdown to the new millennium, and it was meant to be the Y2K virus and blah, 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 blah. And that's when he got, the Y2J from and da-da-da. And there's the countdown, and they have it so it ends right in the middle of The Rock's promo. The Rock's talking 10, 9, 8, and it's like, oh, who's it gonna be? And then, it ends up being Jericho. And even in that point, it was the very, very early stage of the technology. There was already people somehow holding signs that said Raw is Jericho because, somehow through the pipeline they knew. But for the majority, it was like, oh my God, like, here's this.
See, that's another thing that could be a thing as well. So Bray could come back at SmackDown, right? And then they start building like a bit of a build. He comes in and he keeps wrecking everyone. He just comes in there and fucking is wrecking everyone, and everyone's like, fuck.
Just
and
everyone inside.
Yeah, and then build him up, and then he sneaks his way into Extreme Rules against Seth and Riddle. Like, that could be a thing. And then he's fucking up Riddle, or he could even end up teaming with Seth to like piss off Riddle and then fuck up friggin' Seth and then win the match. Like, that could happen too, because it's like, then it builds that there's something going on with him and Riddle, and then Seth and them kind of teamed up against him. So then it's like, Randy comes back and was like, why the fuck are you fucking with my boy for? Like, there's so many different ways it could go. And I'm like, my brain is all over this place. This energy drink has got me fucking nuts. But another idea I had too was, I think everyone can correct me, I'm probably wrong. I can't think of it right now because my brain is so scattered. But was it Right to Censor?
Right to Censor back in the day when they like...
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had that fucking website. They could do shit like that. Like, that would make me so happy. Which, funnily enough,
if you go to righttocensor.com, it will take you to the All Elite Wrestling website.
Yeah. I think that's so fucking funny.
Just buying up old domain names, because why the fuck not?
Yeah. But I mean, they could do shit like that. Like, that's so old school.
The QR code, it was literally just a guy walking through the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And someone basically just scanned it because they were like, the fuck's this guy doing?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, he's actually a plant. Imagine if it's not a plant. Imagine if it's just one dude that's just fucking with everyone.
He's definitely a plant.
No, but could you imagine if he wasn't?
Sometimes he'd grab the posters in the crowd and he used to walk through. I've seen the guy do it a few times. So, like, it's definitely official. They've just got him doing that.
But imagine if it was a massive throw-off with the fight pit too, because it's the fight pit, so it's meant to be dark and dingy.
Yeah.
So maybe they've, like, just chucked, like the fireflies themselves are a very giveaway, but it's dark and dusty, so there's lanterns and stuff because they can't see because they're in a pit, like they're in a mine. Yeah. So, like, imagine if that was, like, just complete, like, coincidence. Like, it's great. But, yeah, there's one thing that I said last year, like, when CM Punk did come back, right, and it was a big hurrah, and that's one thing I give AEW credit, because that was all on a rumor.
Yeah.
They never confirmed nor denied anything. So I feel like WWE here, if it does end up being Wyatt, or even if it ends up being someone else, regardless of where this goes, they're building all of this up. Like, there's like the QR code and there's the dates and stuff. But the most part, and this is where the internet can be a good tool. Hell, fuck, I'm doing this podcast, which is going to go out on the internet and hopefully get a couple of good downloads. We just hit 100K here, by the way. Fucking yay. I should have mentioned that in the intro, my bad. But there's all these rumors and speculation, like, and they're basically building it up on that. It's just rumors. Nothing but rumors and speculation, and it's fueling it. Like, my TikTok feed, my Facebook, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's all just all of this White Rabbit stuff and people that are finding this little Easter egg and that little Easter egg, and it's just everything is intertwining, and it gets me so fucking hype.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm keen. I'm keen for it. I'm both worried though, because I'm like, I don't want to be let down. I don't want it to not be bright.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because
I'm getting so hyped.
Gacy does fall into that like category, and I'm like, oh, is he just gonna get the call up? And I shouldn't say that because
like it's still
I love him, but I'm like, fuck, it's
not brave.
The reason I bring the reason I bring up that's the reason I brought up AEW and CM Punk again, and people are like, stop talking about CM Punk. Well, I'm talking about him in a positive light this time, so. You can sip your ice cream bars and calm the fuck down, but they built it on a rumor. It's gonna be him. It's gonna be him. That first riff of Cult of Personality hits, and people lose their fucking mind, right? And they've been at live events. The reason the White Rabbit started was for the last 2 weeks before this, like, I think it was 2 weeks, may have only been a week, but... week and a half maybe, but before the whole QR code happened, at live events, they have been playing, and people have thought that it was just intermission at first, but they've been playing White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, Starship, I don't know, fucking, they've got like a bunch of different fucking names. I think they've had like 3 different names, but I think they were Jefferson Airplane when the song came out. Anyway, completely unrelated. They've been playing White Rabbit by those guys. And every time it gets to the feed your head bit that kind of goes on repeat that almost has like a Zombie by the Cranberries feel to it as well.
Yeah.
The red lights hit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay. And then it happens at the next live event. And then again. And now this QR code, it's like, fuck me dead. Like, it has to be Bray.
It has to.
It has to be. And if not, it's going to be something big, surely.
They're going to swerve us, I reckon. Like...
It was me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin.
Oh. Nah. I literally was just like
this. They built up the higher power and it's just Vince McMahon.
This is literally like too like obvious. Surely not. Bad Bunny. Could you imagine? It's a White Rabbit. Bad Bunny. Like.
Bad Bunny. He's just in that. He's just in the evil bunny costume. That's his wrestling attire.
Yeah. But I'd pop if it still was him, but it's just like, I just literally thought of that. I was like, fuck, that is so obvious too. Like, oh, fuck.
But it shows the effect it's having. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, we're just marks, but like, as like we document on every pod, we live, breathe, fucking bleed professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. So the fact that even just, we in the end of the day, we basically have no information. And it's still driving me insane.
It's all fucking speculation.
Just, I love it. It's beautiful. Credit to Papa H. You know,
This is definitely feeding my head, all right? Because I've got so many ideas going on up there.
Something that I did forget to mention. Solo Sikoa being stripped of the NXT North American Championship. People are saying that Triple H has made his first bad decision. What is your take on that? Because my thing is, the whole thing is, like, I get it, you know, everyone's like, well, I think it was 2011, could be wrong, maybe like 08, 09, 10, I don't fucking know, but whatever. I think it was 2009, correct me if I'm wrong, but Edge enters the Elimination Chamber match that he wasn't in, he attacks Kofi Kingston, takes his spot, wins the World Heavyweight Championship, so therefore he's the world champion even though he wasn't in a sanctioned match. And that's literally the one fucking excuse that everyone keeps going back to, that this happened and blah, blah, blah. They had a fan vote, which was won by Wes Lee. Wes Lee was taken out by Carmelo and Trick. Carmelo comes out and goes, well, looks like I don't have an opponent. Out comes Solo. He says, like I said, I've got next. Wins the title. Technically, he was still the number one contender because he won a match for the number one contendership and was still yet to actually receive the title. So you could have just gone with that, but goes on to defend it on SmackDown against Madcap Moss. Okay, cool. He's got the NXT title on the main roster. That's great. They do the press conference the day after. All of the Bloodline, except for Sammy, but that's okay. He's the honorarius. He'll get some gold down the line. All of the Bloodline has gold, which is the effect they wanted.
Sense.
And then you get the Tuesday and Sean says, unfortunately, you weren't the sanctioned person for that match. I'm going to have to strip you. And rather than getting mad, Solo just kind of goes, it's fine. I proved my point. I'm going to SmackDown. which to me makes sense. And everyone's like, no, this is stupid. Sense. How did he defend it if he didn't win it sanctioned to begin with? Blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, in business, sometimes you've got to like mull things over, right? Yeah. Before they make a decision. So it's like, okay, you're the champion for now. Like, you don't know what they're going to do on screen to say that behind closed doors, they're like, okay, you're the champion for now, but on Tuesday you'll find out whether you still are or not, blah, blah, blah. But if you really wanted to go into it, being in the bloodline, you could say maybe his match against Madcap Moss wasn't technically an officially, sanctioned match. Maybe Paul Heyman pulled some strings. My brother-in-law is laughing in the background playing his games. My apology. But, like, who cares? All because he defended it in a throwaway match against Madcap Moss just to make the bloodline look dominant. That's why he shouldn't have been stripped of the title. It's a stupid idea and this and that. Like, you get the title off Carmelo, and then they're like, well, why is Carmelo going to be in the ladder match? So my understanding is we didn't end up watching this week's NXT because this week and next week have been pre-taped, and then the week after that is when the rebrand is seemingly happening. I think it is because Halloween Havoc, by the way, which is going to be an official takeover, not just a TV special, has that new logo. So I think that's what they're doing. They're just taking time to like redo because they're still filming it at the Performance Center. So they're like, refurbing the room that they do. So everything's all up and the logos matching, blah, 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 whatever. But in 2 weeks' time, they're going to rebrand that. But anyway, Carmelo was the former champion. Shawn Michaels says, I'm going to have a fatal 4-way or a fatal 5-way, whatever it was, ladder match. Carmelo comes in and he's like, well, if I don't get my rematch, you should at least automatically put me in the ladder match. So Carmelo has been like added to the ladder match. And they're like, well, if Carmelo wins the ladder match, then that's pointless. And to that point, I'll say, yeah, like to have him drop the title and win it. But again, it was all to have the bloodline have the gold
to make
at the press conference.
Powerful, yeah,
it's scripted, smart. Transitional champion, this, that, fucking whatever, right? And if someone else other than Carmelo wins that ladder match, and then Carmelo gets the call up, which I think he will. I think him and Trick. I was talking to Big James about this. I'm like, whether it's mid card or not, him and Trick could be another great addition just to the tag division. You don't always need more tag teams, but I feel like it's a good way to look strong, brother. Solo has lost the title without being pinned, thus making the bloodline still look, impenetrable. No one can beat the bloodline, this, that, whatever. Carmelo has lost the title, but it was kind of in a screwy way, so he still looks good. And then, well, at least if someone else wins the ladder match, he wasn't pinned twice in a row sort of thing. So, I don't know. I feel like I just went on a rant trying to explain that, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, you just look at some of
because I popped watching that match.
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, you just look at it like there's a lot of other titles that have been stripped in the past, like.
And then people are like, they're just making rules. It's professional wrestling. Yeah. Like, there's like a fucking infinite amount of things that you could do. You could have 2 guys have a singles match. One guy beats the other clean as a whistle. And you can still take it in, like, fucking so many different ways. You can cross the universes, cross the streams, fucking whatever. Like, it's wrestling.
Exactly. Yep.
And then you do something that's already been done or whatever, and it's like, that's been done before. Make up your mind. Like, do you want to complain about shit being repetitive, or do you want them to actually kind of keep you guessing and then be like, that's stupid? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
You just can't seem to do anything right. Like,
then you get the long term fucking payoff, and it's like, so that's why they did this, and this.
Idiots. Like, yeah, they've stripped titles and stuff before. Like, it's nothing new. It's like, I don't know why they're getting so aggro about it, to be honest.
It was just a little thing. Like, people were going nuts over such a minor detail, and I'm just like,
it's to lead to a bigger payoff.
At the end of the day. And I say this as a dude that's wrestled, and don't get me wrong, like, do I feel like, the work that I put in, deserved a championship? Yeah, I feel like when I'm at shows and when I do my job, I feel like I bust my ass just as hard, if not harder than literally anyone there. That's, again, not ego, just fact what the shirt says, but that's me, that's my work ethic, but I'm not going to bitch and moan for championships because it's a prop.
Yeah.
This was used as a prop to make the Bloodline look dominant in front of mainstream media at a press conference with Logan Paul, who, for however you feel about him, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, has all the fucking eyes on him. And here's Solo Sikoa, who just a couple of weeks ago was on NXT, still had, 900,000 to 1 million people watching, but now he's on Clash at the Castle, live on pay-per-view, for the first UK pay-per-view in 30 years. Holy shit, that's a big moment. Goes back to NXT the next week just to win the title, takes it to SmackDown, gets more eyes on him, gets more eyes on NXT at the same time. I don't see it being a bad thing. He got in, he did his job. That title was used as a prop, and it got everyone in the situation with eyes on them.
And even if they're mad about it, they're still talking about it. Yeah,
I don't know.
Proving the
it was just a little thing
that
just popped in my head. I was like, what do you think? Because honestly, I couldn't care less. Like,
me either.
Oh, he wasn't the sanctioned person in the match. Okay, makes sense. It was a fan vote.
Yeah.
Like, you could have said, okay, maybe one of the other two could have jumped in because they had the second highest vote or whatever. And, okay, they didn't win the vote, but it still would have made sense, if you would have explained it that way.
It's to get people talking about him because a lot of people probably didn't really, he looks definitely like the Usos, but someone might have not made that correlation, so it's trying to make that correlation as well. It's make him relevant. So it's like, hey, shit, who's this guy that's just won? Oh, fuck, he's one of the Usos brothers. Oh, fuck, he's part of the Bloodline now. It's just to do that. It's
just
set
the
him up.
Simple fact that he is at that press conference, him being at the press conference at all would have been, a big deal. But having him at the press conference with the title, even if he only held it for a week, in the span of 2 to 3 weeks, from the UK pay-per-view to now, he has fucking skyrocketed, and it's just a natural thing because Raw and SmackDown have the most viewers. SmackDown still consistently gets the highest ratings, and everyone says Roman's boring, this, that. If you want to look at ratings, Roman Reigns' segments are the highest rated segments every fucking week.
Yeah. You've got to look at it too. We've got Survivor War Games coming up. Integrating more and more of NXT into SmackDown and Raw is smart because that's what they're going to do for Survivor Series. So having that title on SmackDown is fucking smart.
Yeah, well, because they're not doing the brand versus brand thing anymore at SmackDown versus Raw. Yeah. But a lot of people are getting the call up and they're putting the pieces in motion. If you're not doing brand versus brand, well, okay, there's a War Games match, the Bloodline, whether it's 5 versus 5 with Roman involved or Roman's in a title match, whatever, you could have 4 people there. You could have the Usos, Sami Zayn as the honorary Us, who still has star power. Well, who's the 4th guy if Roman's off defending the title?
Yeah,
Solo.
Exactly.
Okay, well, here's his stock. Let's make people care about the fact that he's in this huge fucking match on one of the big 4 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And because it is the actual War Games match, it's probably gonna be the main event.
Yeah.
It's
like they're integrating NXT.
How does it not make any sense?
They're integrating NXT. It's not just a developmental anymore. They're integrating it into Raw and SmackDown, the bigger brands. They're trying to, and if you look at it, Triple H was fucking running NXT, so he's trying to infiltrate them more into, the other brands.
And this is what Triple H meant, and, when Tony Khan, said that he beat blah, 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 and Triple H said, congratulations, you beat our developmental brand, and everyone was like, well, Triple H said it was a 3rd brand, blah, blah. Contractually, it's still going to be developmental. It is what it is. But keeping it, you can still present it as a 3rd brand at the same time, right? Because Ricochet was at Worlds Collide, and then the week after, I don't know if it was taped or pre-taped or whatever. Taped or pre-taped, it's the same thing. I don't know if it was taped or if that episode was live, but he went from wrestling Carmelo live on Worlds Collides to still wrestling on that episode of NXT anyway. He could have just done that one and done, but you've had him, Nikki ASH and that, wrestled again. Everyone's kind of, You
look at it, they're about to rebrand NXT as well. So it's
they're keeping as many eyes on that. Yeah. Because they're like, hey, all you guys that watched when it was black and gold and then you left because you didn't like the change, we're putting our stars back and we're making
it gold, but we're making it NXT 2.0 and meshing it together.
It's basically like,
happy
NXT
medium.
3.0 or probably 4.0 at this point if you want to be technical, because NXT started as a game show, so technically NXT 2.0 wasn't even 2.0, but...
They're integrating it as a happy medium, and it's like, so they're getting us all talking about this fuckery, like, oh my god, they gone and stripped him of the title. Yeah. You're talking about an NXT title.
Yeah.
Like,
not only does this dude look like $1 million and he has a title, but it's, oh, what title is that? I only watch Raw. I only watch SmackDown.
Exactly.
When I'm flicking through the channels. What's
it.
NXT? I've never. Oh, okay.
To boost ratings. Like, come on, use your brain.
I just don't understand how in any way.
I don't know how you can be mad. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm just ranting, but I'm just looking at it from a marketing standpoint. It's like, I can see what they're doing.
Yeah, we've gone on a rant now, but I just just hit me for some reason, and I was like, I want your opinion on this, because believe it or not, people, Mrs. Crossfire, she knows what she's talking about. We have plenty of, friendly debates behind doors and who's right and who's wrong, because we have differing opinions, but I just wanted to get your opinion, because I was just looking at it like from an actual wrestler standpoint. Like, don't get me wrong, if a promotion was to be like, hey, we're going to put this belt on you because we think you've earned it and blah, 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 100% to me, I'd feel like I had actually, won it, in quotes, but at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it is a prop.
Yeah.
But as Owen Hart once said, and I've literally got it written in my wrestling notebook when he had the 2 Slammies, no one told him to carry both of them to the ring. He did it just because, fuck it, they gave me this prop, I make the most of it. Props aren't just props.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, that might go over their heads, but it's really very much in that adage. Yeah. He's got eyes on him. NXT's got eyes on them. If Carmelo does end up winning the title back, then, hey, it's like, okay, you could kind of be like, yeah, why'd you take the title off? Like, when with Roxanne and, Cora Jade, they win, the match to win the vacant titles. Literally the week later, Cora Jade turns heel. The titles get fucking vacated again, and it's just, it's kind of meh, but it's not, whatever. It's not like it's like, I think that was silly, but they had their reasons, right? It was a prop because you didn't see it coming. It was a swerve, bro. But I feel like everything, for all intents and purposes, the job was done, mission accomplished.
Yeah. And you look at it too, the writers are trying to, I guess, explore different routes so you don't get bored. It's not the same thing over and over again. Cool. So this is another tag team and they're going to have the championships for a few months. And then it's like, no, fuck you. They're losing it the next week because they're going to turn on each other kind of thing.
On that note, before we do move over, because as I said, it just kind of hit me. We ended up going on more of a rant, but I liked when Raw and SmackDown and all that were separate, but I like the fact that everyone is intermingling, but they're really, with Triple H in charge, they're still driving home the fact that people are from different brands. Like Drew McIntyre, as I mentioned, I think it was the last episode you and I recorded together, which was episode 67, might have been 66, where he did the promo on Raw, and he himself specifically mentioned that, why am I here when I'm a SmackDown superstar? They're doing that with NXT. They've got SmackDown and Raw people going to NXT, but again, there's the NXT Championship. I'm just repeating the same point you just made, but I like it. It's all like, hey, these are all of these things are available, but these people are this is their home. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And you look at it, they're really trying to utilize their talent. It's not like before where people are getting forgotten. It always happens in wrestling because there's a lot of talent, but I feel like they're trying to spread it so you get to see your favorites back on the screens.
That's why it looked like they were trying to build to the brand versus brand thing. I thought that's why they were tightening it up. But I like how they've got it now. It's kind of a happy medium. Like, hey, anyone can go where they want to go, but you still know when you look at the roster page, Ricochet is a SmackDown guy, Seth Rollins is a Raw guy, Carmelo Hayes currently is an NXT guy, right? Yeah. So when you and I are doing our Markapaloozas and all the fun stuff, and we try to stick to who's on what brand for storyline purposes, we can look at that.
Yeah.
Just obviously they're not doing it just for us. That sounded really bad the way I worded it. But yeah, I like the way they've got it where NXT is still developmental, but Triple H is still like, hey, it's still here. We can watch this little thing.
As well as they're giving you a product that you can enjoy as such. Like, could you imagine, like, fantasy matches of, like, Ricochet versus someone like Carmelo Hayes and things like that happening?
They had a fantastic match,
like,
and I lost my mind when it was announced.
Did you think that was going to happen?
I did not, no.
No, exactly. So they're giving you something that you're not expecting. I thought they were just going to
grab another guy from NXT UK and be like, hey, you can face Carmelo Hayes just because you're from there. And then they're like, let's throw Raw and SmackDown in the mix. Why? Because we can.
And they're trying to freshen it up.
And I think that's why they're not doing it with Survivor Series as well, because it's so close to that. Like, obviously, Worlds Collide wasn't as big as a deal as Survivor Series, but I see having them so close together, it does make sense.
You see as well why I was mentioning before. So the reason before I was saying a lot about like NXT and stuff, and they're trying to integrate the brands. What I was getting at is because you've got War Games that hints back to NXT War Games. So then it's like it'll get people going and watching older matches and like seeing the NXT War Games, and again getting people to go back to watch NXT. As I said,
first ever on the main roster. NXT did it for a handful of years, and I remember still that first War Games, watching that episode of NXT, and I think that was one that had Sanity and the Author of Pain and fucking Undisputed Era, and that was like 4 versus 4 versus 4 or something like that, and they're all brawling, and William Regal screams War Games. Me being a mark for the old like WCW stuff, being like, like what? Like, did you want to repeat that?
I want Regal back, to be honest, just so I could say,
I reckon,
War Games.
I said this on my personal Facebook, but, like, I am both excited and disappointed, because, like, on one hand, Triple H has said, no, brand versus brand is done, we're having 2 War Games matches, which does, again, bringing back, you know, building excitement, hype, using the internet, but I feel like having the Bloodline and someone brawl, and having Triple H himself actually come out, because he doesn't make very many TV appearances for that reason. Having even Triple H come out when the Bloodline's brawling with, like, Drew and KO or, you know, whoever ends up being against them, and him going, War Games, Like that would have been such a big pop, but I feel like what he's going to do, the people have been saying it'd be funny, like, just as like a comedy thing, but I could honestly see him doing it. I could literally see him, like, playing a clip, an audio clip, over the speakers of Regal saying it.
Yeah.
100% could see that happening.
100%.
But, yeah, we ranted about the North American title, which was a spur of the moment thing. Again, energy drink, it just hit me. Soraya, Bray Wyatt. What are you thinking with War Games? Like, obviously, we're going to do our own little Markapalooza cards, as we said, but where does this go? Because obviously I feel... I'm sitting there and I'm like, the Bloodline this, the Bloodline that. What about Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Like, I know there's, you know, 3 of them plus Rhea, but what if, you know, they go back for one night only, you have some intergender stuff. You got the Judgment Day, including Rhea, against Ray, Edge, Beth, find a 4th.
See, I've said a lot of the time, I've said this a lot, that, you know, Rhea gives me China vibes because she's a big, strong woman. And it's like she gives me those vibes. So if they were to do that, it'd be kind of cool.
You could even do, like, I know, you know, War Games, it's been 4v4 and 5v5. You could even do Edge, Rey Mysterio, and AJ Styles versus Finn, Priest, Dominic, with Rhea and fucking Beth on the outside. Like,
yeah,
it could be done. But where do you see this going? Because there was one that was fantasy booked where someone was like, let's have Triple H's guys versus Vince's guys, and it was KO teaming with Sammy, teaming with Gargano, teaming with Ciampa against the Usos, Solo, and Roman. And I looked at that and I was like, look, if that
would be sick.
DIY versus the Usos, Roman and Sammy have great connections, like, I'd lose my mind. But where do you see going? Because I'm like, if Roman still has 2 titles, surely he has to be in a title match. But I'm like, you could go all 5. You could have Roman, Uso, Solo, chuck Sammy in there because he's the honorary Uso, and he could literally face Drew, Cross. That's an interesting thing because they don't like each other. They can constantly brawl with each other. That can lead to the finish. But Drew, Cross, KO, chuck AJ in there because he hasn't been in the main picture for a while. AJ and Roman, as of this week, are going to be having matches against each other on the live event loops. That could be foreshadowing for chucking Roman in there. And then you need a fifth. Johnny Gargano. They've made a fucking huge deal about him coming back.
And then Theory comes and tries to fuck with some shit. Theory comes out, tries to fuck with some shit.
Because, I'm not going to go, obviously, too far, and spoil everything with my Markapalooza, but I honestly wholeheartedly feel Roman defends the title in some form or fashion, but you can go 4 versus 4. You can go solo, Usos, Sammy, against team, KO, maybe Drew's in there, maybe Cross, we'll see how we go, but you could have KO, AJ, Gargano, maybe Ciampa.
Yeah, we'll see. At the moment, you've got...
there's so many people.
You've got KO that's really kind of close with, Johnny at the moment.
Yeah, well, they're building that little thing,
Yeah, something's going on here.
I just hope it doesn't lead to KO turning heel again, because he's only just turned face.
Chuck fucking Ciampa in that, because I just want DIY to happen again.
No, I want to see Ciampa in War Games, because he's proven multiple times that he thrives in that environment, but injury-wise, I'm like... But again, you can go 5v5, and that's when you can chuck Roman back in there, or someone else.
So where I was getting at, too, with Ciampa, is, have Miz come out and try and fucking start some shit. Or even have him on the team and have Miz and Ciampa and, KO and, Johnny.
You can throw back to the shit we were just talking about with Wyatt. Does this go to, Wyatt, Cross, Loomis, Braun, and they're facing KO, Miz, Johnny, and Ciampa?
Yeah.
It could make sense because they've got time to build it. Where do we go?
What I was getting at as well is because of the Loomis stuff with Miz, right? Miz turns on Ciampa in the match because he's pissed off because he got kidnapped a few weeks ago, and Ciampa still kept going with the match. He didn't give a fuck that he just got kidnapped. That was his tag team partner. They were bros. I was thinking, what the fuck?
I was thinking, because the Miz,
feedback to that.
Miz is always going to be a better heel than a face, right? But he's at that point where he's actually been heel for a while. That's the point where the Miz, officially turns fucking face because he's locked in a cage, right? His back's against the wall, and he just snaps and just, destroys Loomis. Could you imagine the pop that would get? Fucking, because you've got kendo sticks and chairs or whatever, and he just unloads. Ciampa hits his finish, Gargano hits his finish, and fucking you've got KO, okay, cool, stunner. Let Miz get the pin on Loomis. There's so many fantasy bookings. And how long's it been? One thing I did give WWE credit, the last year, most of the pay-per-views were pretty good, and there was still so many outcomes. But even just with Triple H taking over, they've somehow, multiplied, they've doubled, they've tripled.
Yeah.
There is, you could sit here and fantasy book a spot for everyone on the roster in this type of situation. And we haven't even mentioned the women's one yet. The women's one I feel almost has to be damage control, but where do we go with the men's? there's Judgment Day, there's the Bloodline, there's this possible Bray Wyatt, maybe new Wyatt family thing. Is it, fuck it, go 4v4v4, Bloodline, fucking Judgment Day, Wyatt family.
Going back to all these multiple possibilities that Triple H has started. Literally, I feel sorry for Dewey Foley that's not longer left writing, and it's fuck, this would have been so great for my creative outlet. I feel so sad that he's kind of left.
War Games on the main roster? Hey, my dad's Mick Foley. He knows a thing or two about cages, so...
Do you want me to help write some stuff for this? I bet you he's livid now. I would be. Oh, shit.
But, I don't know. But in terms of the women's, we'll go to the women's because otherwise we're going to be ranting all day about the men's. But I'm fucking keen. But my question to you is officially was just, do you think it's going to be 4v4 or 5v5? Because I see Roman defending his title. Or does he pull an Adam Cole and does he just do double duty?
That's what I was going to say. He's a tough motherfucker. They've built him up as this tough dude. Does he pull double duty?
Is that how you get the title off him?
Maybe.
He goes through War Games first. Goes through War Games first. He is fucking spent. Yeah. He's defending his title with everything he's got.
But you think about it, he's a cocky motherfucker too.
Yeah.
So it's fuck yeah, I'm tough. I can do both. Yeah. And it's oh, fuck.
Or alternatively...
That War Games took it out of me, brother.
Alternatively, defends the title first, And he's like, fuck yeah, Tribal Chief, I'm going to start this match. And then for like half an hour, just gets the shit kicked out of him in War Games.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he won the title, but because he's got the adrenaline, he's like, so I'm already out here. You know, you raise the cage, I'm starting this whole damn thing sort of thing. And then he's got to rely on, again, the Usos. And Sami Zayn, of all people, makes a save.
Him again.
That's when Sami turns on the bloodline. He's the last guy out. It's all him. Haluva kick on Roman Reigns, and KO's standing there like, yes, I love you. Stunner, pins Reigns. Like, because it's a War Games. He's just defended the title. That's fine. He can lose War Games without losing the title. Like that, like...
Yeah.
Again. But do you think Roman's going to be in the War Games match or not?
I feel like he's going to pull double duty. That's just me, because I feel like he's going to be cocky, and it's either going to cost him the title, or like you said, it's something's going to happen.
One or the other.
Yeah. Something's going to happen there. Yeah. That's what I reckon.
As far as the women's. So we've got Damage Control. Do you think we do 3v3? Or does someone else get added to the Damage Control like situation?
See, I don't know.
Because there's been a lot of like rumors and speculation that maybe Asuka is going to turn heel because she hasn't really done much. But is this where you kind of, you know, is this where Sasha and Naomi come back? Like you could have Asuka, Bayley, Dakota, and Io versus Bianca, Alexa, Sasha, and Naomi. Like,
see, I'm thinking of someone too. But I don't know if she's face or heel at the moment because they kept switching her around and it's...
Who's that?
Wishy-washy a bit. Bit of fucking... Yeah. Shotzi.
Shotzi for she was kind of like had that weird heel turn and then she wasn't on TV and then...
Yeah.
I can't even remember who she saved on last week's episode of SmackDown now, but she came out as a babyface to help someone. I think it was actually against Bayley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it Raquel that she saved?
Yeah.
Because Aaliyah was like injured
That's
in
true.
kayfabe.
I forgot that happened. Yeah.
Aaliyah was injured in kayfabe by Bayley on Raw, and then so. Or is this all a swerve? The Shotzi joined Damage Control.
That's what I was thinking. She was going to join them. But then I don't know because like she's been getting the Big Show treatment where she's all over the place.
Damage Control came out in like their little golf buggy.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what happened to Shotzi's tank? So the Damage Control can have their little buggy, and then Team Shotzi has the tank.
It's War Games. It fits. Like, yeah.
Like, that's completely irrelevant. But again, props, right? Use what you've got.
But even if she did team with them, the funny comedic thing would be like, she's not part of the It Girls, the three of them, so they're all in the buggy, right? And then she just comes out in a tank.
Bayley makes her get rid of the tank, because that's like the ultimate heel move. Like when Bayley attacked her inflatable people, Shotzi's like, fuck this, like flips the tank. Like that, honestly, as silly as it sounds, something that subtle, the heat Shotzi would get for turning her back on her little tank that did nothing wrong would be fucking amazing. But
well, what I was thinking is like, she comes out because she's not part of the three girls, and she comes out and she's just like in a little tank and she shitted off. Like, it's kind of like they've just thrown her in and she's mismatched and she doesn't like them and that's why she's protecting the other one. But then she starts to get along with them and shit, and she ends up flipping the tank at the end. It's like just sitting there. Like, that could work too, and it's like she actually enjoyed being with them, and now she's like the fourth member kind of thing.
Because I have a 4v4 for the women's in my mind that I feel like it's 4v4. Is going to happen. I feel like we've got Damage Control. I feel like Raquel is going to turn heel on the main roster because she does have that history with Dakota.
Yeah. True.
And then I feel like that leads to Bianca, Alexa, Shotzi, and then they'd probably maybe just throw Aaliyah in there. Just because she was teaming with Raquel.
How long did they say Becky's out for?
It was a separated shoulder, so it was like, I think 8 months, but how many months removed are we from SummerSlam at this point? June, July, August, September, October. Oh, fuck, that's only 3 months.
It's only 3 months and that. Because I was just thinking, like, how long is she out for?
Well, you see here.
They could sneak her in.
The unspelled disaster for Becky Lynch and Survivor Series.
I was just like, I was trying to work it out. I was like, fuck, actually, it wasn't that long ago.
But again, like, there's a lot of speculation that, Sasha and Naomi will be back, especially with Triple H in charge, and they could be there. But on paper, looking at the current scheme, I could see Damage Control, which includes Raquel, facing Bianca, Alexa, Shotzi, and then just Aaliyah because that's who Raquel's teaming with at the moment. But
in a way, I kind of hope that Sasha comes back because just her, like, if you had her and Bianca and Bailey in a War Games match would be fucking sick.
And there's someone else that hasn't been mentioned here on this episode just yet. That's Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
she's kind of just no injury as far as I'm concerned. She's just having a vacation. She's just enjoying life. You know, her dad just had his last match ever, which
she no longer married.
She's enjoying life. I know that she's another one that kind of flip flops and works better as a heel, but does she join Damage Control and it's Bailey and Charlotte on the same team, or same time, my enemy's enemy's my friend. Charlotte's still a heel, but she's on Team Bianca because Bianca, Alexa, Charlotte, someone else, whether it's Shotzi, someone else, like, especially if it is fucking Sasha, that would pop me, but where does she factor in? Because Charlotte Flair has been in a lot of, first evers for women, right? First ever on the main roster, at least. First ever women's, War Games match on the main roster. Surely, if she's good to go, on paper, Charlotte Flair has to factor in there.
Yeah.
And again,
I can see that.
Maybe not as many possibilities as the men, but in saying that, the women's roster isn't as deep as the men's. But there's still so many, there's
so many opportunities. Like, this is someone I personally just don't like as a person, don't really like as a character. She's a bit bland for me. But Lacey Evans too, like, she could come back into the fold.
She came back, made a big deal. She was in Money in the Bank and then fucking disappeared. But again...
But she's got that military background. That's what they were doing with her gimmick, so War Games fits. Like,
and again, right, like...
Could be a thing too.
The women's roster isn't as deep as the men's, but when you start putting it together, they're like, they've got a nice collection, right? You could
just someone from NXT get called up.
Do you go back to 4 versus 4 versus 4 for the women's?
Yeah.
Because you can have Damage Control versus Team Bianca versus Team Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, fuck, this is where you can factor in Lacey, Sasha, Naomi. Look at people that are currently, in NXT, like Roxanne, Cora Jade, Toxic Attraction.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. Chuck someone else on there. Team Toxic Attraction versus someone. Like,
yeah, so many possibilities.
Where the fuck do we go from here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Because I think, to be honest, I think that there's still been some grey moments with Priscilla Kelly's character. I can't think of her. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. And they listed JC James. I don't know why. JC Jane. They're still a bit green in respects. Like, some stuff they've been doing, it's a little bit reckless. Seems a bit green. But I feel like Mandy's getting close to being called back up again because she's been doing really well.
Mandy has improved something. There's women on the main roster that need to look at what Mandy Rose is doing.
Yeah.
And if you had a thought, I was going to say 2 years ago, but even a year ago, who would have thought you'd be saying that?
Exactly.
Like, she has, to her credit, like, she's proved everyone wrong. She's pulled a Trish Stratus in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, think back to when The Miz saved her on Top Enough. She's hot. Fuck, who gives a fuck? Like, it's professional wrestling. Like, I don't care if she's attractive, yay or nay.
Yeah.
But then she's gone and done this, like, and this is why I bring up Trish Stratus, because it was like, she is the model, but now I'm going to wrestle. And again, to use the expression, this is not me saying it, it's just the expression that gets used to an extent, is, no, I don't want to wrestle like a girl. I want to wrestle like a man. I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a superstar.
There's more to me. Yeah.
And she's still, she has toned it down a little bit in the last few weeks, because Toxic Attraction basically were like tits, ass, whatever. As, if you've noticed, as she started to get better and more confident in the ring, she has reeled that back in a little bit, because you can tell that, I guess, that she's just so, happy with what she's done and confident within herself that she's like, hey, I don't need to do that. Like, what she's wearing is still a little revealing. Yeah. That's fine. Fucking you do you. Whatever you're comfortable in, I don't care, but she's really, that's not the main focus. Like in promos and stuff it is, but in ring, like she's just kneeing cunts in the face. Like,
see, just then when you were saying about model to like wrestler kind of thing, it made me think of Maurice. So like I don't know if she'd be even keen to want to come back or anything right now. Like, I know we were watching Ms. and Mrs. Wrestling, like, recently.
Yeah, we just watched the most recent season.
They were getting prepared for that match against...
It was the Royal Rumble. It was this year's Rumble, wasn't it?
It was Rumble.
Yeah, Edge and Maurice versus... Edge and Maurice... Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. But, what are words?
But Edge... and Maurice did that crazy move. What was it? Hurricane
she did the diving Hurricane Rana because she's... Yeah. For a woman, she's considered tall, right?
Yeah.
And she couldn't do that with all the women. Edge is like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah. So she's like, I want to do this.
See, I was like, oh, fuck.
And
like,
she still slips off him. And even when we watched it live, we were like, that didn't look bad. I mean, that looked bad. Like, not in like terms of the move. She pulled it off, but... Edge's landing was a bit meh.
Yeah, I think it's because he spiked a bit too much. Yeah. But in saying that, I was so proud of it for doing that. I was like, fucking hot. Like, fucking hell. Like, that's crazy. So I was like, even if you had her, like, with Toxic Attraction. Like,
I could 100% see that.
That would be
Maurice
sick.
almost, like, because she's still very much a heel when she's on TV with me. So she kind of, you know, takes Mandy Rose under her wing, so to speak. And then this is all just fantasy booking. That can lead to a Maurice face turn, you know? Toxic Attraction, kick out Maurice. Maurice builds a team of, Maurice, Beth Phoenix, you know, someone else. You know, the divas, right? Like Beth Phoenix, Natalia, you know? The divas in 2010 or whatever that didn't get a chance to do this kind of shit. Yeah, to face a team like Toxic Attraction in War Games. Like, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. And the chances of it happen...
Triple H is fucking back. And you think about it like, back in the day in DX, like, show us your titties kind of thing. Very 90s. But, like, he seems like, because he's got daughters, he's a bit more progressive and wants women to you know, be more than just eye candy kind of thing. There's more to it. So I feel like he'd want to owe them that. And that'd be something that he might look into.
And this is what I love about, you know, obviously, you know, the co-chair people, I guess. Co-chairwoman Stephanie McMahon, co-chairman Nick Khan. Yeah. This is what I love about Steph being the one on top, because there's lots of people in the internet, you know, they make memes and jokes that Stephanie McMahon invented women's wrestling, because every time there's been something with the Divas Revolution that they called it, and then they went from being divas to superstars as well, so it was dubbed the Woman's Revolution or the Woman's Evolution, whatever you look at it. Steph was always there making announcements, this, that, and everyone was always making fun of her, but it's like, no, her as the actual woman, Triple H is like, this is you, like, girl power, you see, even and you see what it means to her. She has grown up in this business. Yeah. She has seen firsthand where it's gone and had a big part of where it is behind the scenes. And no one can fucking discount that. Like, people will try to because they're trolls and idiots, but for something like that, like Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, that's why they're the perfect pair. Like, you know, people can talk about,
really well.
Apparently there was an affair in China and this, that.
Whatever.
That was like fucking 30 odd years ago at this point. 20,
people still going on
20
about,
plus years ago, whatever it is.
People
right?
are still literally annoying Rebby about like Matt and Lita. Like, fuck off.
Just
fuck off.
It's That's another rant for
drama.
That's another rant for an entirely another day.
Yeah.
But you can see that there's so many. So as I said, there's not as many with the women, but when you think about it, there is still a good chunk of women.
Yeah.
Like one that kind of popped me the other day, and I think they may have had a face-off in one of the recent Rumbles, but Beth versus Molly Holly for some reason popped into my head, right? Cool. Because obviously Molly paid for her wrestling tuition, blah, blah, blah. Could you imagine Beth Phoenix or Maurice, one of the two, has to assemble a team, and it's Maurice, Beth Phoenix, Natalia. You need a fourth.
Yeah,
Chuck Molly Holly or Victoria or something in that spot.
Fucking Trish comes back again.
Trish said herself the other day that, look, she's really itching to come and get out of retirement, even just for a once off. Trish Stratus in a War Games match? Lita in a War Games match? Like, There is so
so
many
many
possibilities. And it's like, it's not even like a scale of 1 to 10 of, oh, this is only a 1, whereas this is a 10. Like, no, they're all up there. It's like they're all 6s and 7s. They're all so equal because you just don't know at this point.
Yeah, that's
And this is when someone's listening to this going, Mark, yeah, right, okay, I'm sorry, but...
I'm sorry, is this the first time you've listened? Because I think you've probably heard us mark out 20 million episodes ago.
Put it like on the tagline. It's ranting, reviewing, and marking out. That's
it.
I'm fucking keen. Like, we've been going for an hour and a half now, so if you want to move on to the watch-along, we can. If there's anything else you wanted to bring up, but there's a lot of stuff to unpack, and we could just sit here for hours and hours and hours.
And I just want to go back to like the marking out thing. Calvin Butcher literally said to us, because he's seen our titles when we met him, like he's seen it on Instagram and like brought it up with us.
When we got married.
If you don't mark out, then like, are you really even enjoying it? Like,
well, even someone like Kevin Nash, right? He got into the business because he wanted to make money. He's a big dude. And I think I've actually used this exact example, and I think it was on an episode with you, but it's like...
Yeah.
It's, you know, I've got a fairly high pain threshold, but at the same time, if you're not passionate, you're not going to do it. Like, there has to be some sort of passion. And that's why so many, you know, professional athletes like football players and basketball players go, I can do that. And then there's a lot of them that even on the first day take a bump and they're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, you have to love it. But, I don't know, do you want to move on to the watch-along of Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, otherwise we'll be keeping everyone here all day.
I'm keen to crack into that the passion fruit one as well.
Yeah, did you want some more of the peach one?
I'll take another swig of the peach one, and I'll just hit this little transition button, and when we come back, will be our watch-along of Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam 2005. All right, Mrs. Crossfire, are you ready for me to hit play on this here Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels match?
1 second.
Oh,
now I'm
that
ready.
Was so loud. And it wasn't even like super close to the microphone. It was like literally just the echo from the room. All right, are you ready for me to press play, or do you want to like sip on that passion fruit drink first?
Oh, I'm ready to go. It smells good. It smells good, man.
All right, now.
Woo! Get it up, yeah. Try that.
Can you hear the TV?
Maybe a little bit louder. Just a little bit.
I don't want to go super loud because the soundbar's near my microphone. So I'll go 22.
Yeah, that's good. That's sweet. That's a sweet spot.
Because with a lot of the modern day stuff, it's like obviously people can't see our volume, but it goes from 18 to 20. But I think because this is a bit older, it's on 22 now. So it's only 2 notches more, but...
Before you have it, I was going to say have a whiff before you have a taste.
Oh, this
so good.
Hulk Hogan. This still gives me goosebumps though.
Yeah.
Like, and there was like the 6-man that they did where it was Hogan, Michaels, and Cena. And Cena's like posing with them afterwards, and then Cena, even though he was the world champion, like leaves the ring, lets them do it. I think that's actually the same night where he super kicked him after Cena left, actually.
Yep.
Could be wrong on that. Because Hogan teamed with him against, like, Daivari and stuff as well. Because I think...
Carlito!
Was this the show that was... No, this was the one that was the week before, because I'm like, was this in Canada? But Canada was afterwards, because he was cutting the heel promo and he did the fake out where they played Bret Hart's music.
Yes. Yes. Dude, I think I like that one more than the peach one.
Oh, sweet, baby, Jesus.
It's so good.
We need like some sort of like smell-o-vision up in here. Like, put the podcast to your ears and smell the passion fruit.
Can you smell what the passion fruit is cooking?
Passion fruit mania running wild. What a good video package though.
So good.
Fuck it. I'll go 2 more.
Yeah, that's a bit better. You're a bit better now.
Did you see the sign from like a recent wrestling event? And it literally said, "Why was Shawn Michaels' tights so high at SummerSlam 93?
Yes.
I love that this was meant to be like face versus face sort of thing. But basically Hulk Hogan was being a fucking dickhead backstage. And Shawn pretty much went to Vince and was like, look, what's going on here? And he's just like, what would Shawn Michaels do? And he's like, well, do you mean the new Shawn Michaels or the old Shawn Michaels? And then Shawn basically kind of had like a mini heel turn for this whole feud because he was just being a fuckwit to Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Some of the best promo work of Shawn's career, though, for sure.
Yeah.
With this whole feud. Like the fake Larry King, and he was dressed up as Hulk Hogan.
This just makes me so happy.
I turn 72 years old next week, brother, and I feel 172 years old. Brother, my back.
This is literally feeding my childhood, like my inner child, I should say. Like, oh my god, there's so much nostalgia. Just seeing like this video package play out, it's like, holy fuck, so much nostalgia. This is great. Fucking,
it's so funny though. It's a perfect case though of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Because this is still today. Fuck, now it's getting too loud in my earphones. I'll turn it. Can you still hear that?
Yeah, I can a bit, yeah.
What you gonna do, brother? I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at 20. Usually I think I have it at about 18, but
yeah.
Might turn it up to 22 when the actual match starts, but when they were screaming, it was like literally reverberating in my microphone, and I'm like, fuck, I'm hoping it's not too loud for the listeners.
Let's get it on.
I'm pretty sure the HBK comes out first, because they've got to build to the Hogan entrance.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
It was like, Hogan, and then Shawn Michaels music hits. Gonna make him work for it, brother. I have a Shawn Michaels action figure somewhere with that attire. It didn't come with the entrance jacket, but it has those tights.
Sexy boy.
I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy Kurt.
Sexy Kurt.
I'll make your ankle hurt.
Ankle hurt. Sorry, I forgot this is not karaoke. My bad.
I want to do
just nostalgia.
I legit want to do WWE or just wrestling themed karaoke.
Fuck yes. Just open up like, you know how like Canberra has the 80s bar. Just open up a wrestling bar.
They've got like a K-pop karaoke bar and an 80s karaoke bar.
Just fucking open up a whole wrestling bar. It's like you can watch wrestling there. Like have it as an American restaurant. And then just have like karaoke at the back, and it's just theme songs from like old wrestlers. Oh, I think I want to open that now.
I'm not like perving or anything, but how fucking weird is it that Lillian Garcia literally looks the exact same there as she does right now?
Yeah, she doesn't look like she's aged.
And like I don't think she's one that's had like super like surgeries either. I think maybe like a bit of Botox here and there, but like.
That's
just
crazy.
fucking weird.
Still weirds me out her hair here, though. It looks like she's accidentally just dipped it in some red Kool-Aid. Like, because it's just
she got that Alexa Bliss happening. Because Alexa Bliss is like all 90s, early 2000s.
Except Alexa's got it further up, where it literally looks like she's just accidentally dipped some ends, like something.
Her ends were fried, so she's just like, fuck it, put a bit of colour in there. Turn it to 22 and I'll just leave it. Oh my god, we're on TV! Wave at the camera! Everyone's like cheering Hogan, and that one chick was like, oh my god!
It's crazy looking. It's crazy looking back at it, like just so much nostalgia. All these fucking posters that are everywhere.
I only came here to see the immortal Hulkamania runs wild on HBK, brother. I want that Hurricane t-shirt.
Like, we still have posters today.
I want that Hurricane shirt.
Yes, if it's a sick shirt, it's a sick colour. Anyway, back to what I was saying, ADHD. The posters and shit. Oh, fuck. But yeah, the posters and shit, like, look how many there is. Like, so many. And it's like,
all these cunts dressed as Hulk as well?
Yeah, like, I feel like it's not as much like that anymore.
See, like, I want to dress as Macho Man for Halloween one year, but I'd 100% dress as Hulk just for shits and gigs.
Yes. Get one of those, even though you've got a mustache, like, make it really bad and just put, like, put like that fake mutton chop, like get a fake one. It's all bleached and just chuck it on there over yours.
I've said this before on the pod when I did a like Hulk Hogan watch along with Macho Man. Obviously he was wearing the trunks back then. But if anyone knows where I can get a pair of tie-dye pants that are black and red instead of yellow and red in the style of Hulk Hogan, let me know.
Oh, you've tried Sheen, hey?
Yeah. Like, someone's going to steal the idea, but I don't care. I want to do like a Hulk Hogan-esque kind of cosplay. I would like use the black and red. Get a black weight belt with Crossfire written in red.
I could probably DIY it.
Why the fuck not? I'll just buy like a pair of like plain white tights. Just the thing.
You literally get black. I've just had a thought about this. Is so random. But you literally could get black ones, do a bleach bath dye, so like a tie-dye with a bit of bleach, and then you can dye the red into the bleach. You've just got to do it a couple of times to clean it up a little bit. And it already comes through as like an orangey colour anyway, so you realistically should be able to do it. I've been watching way too many TikToks.
I feel like Crossfire bandanas could be a thing. Like, especially with what Finn Balor does in the hit now, where he has that little bit that's like an eye patch when he's wearing it. Like,
I just laugh because they keep having bandanas hanging out of their pockets. And I don't know, this is something someone said on TikTok about Eddie from Stranger Things. They're like, that was a nod because the mum walked in was like, why does he have that in his back pocket? Like, that was a nod back in the 80s to, you know, you're presenting like you're gay or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Depends like what side it's on. It's like
something about depending on what side it's on. And I was like, that's really interesting.
Hasn't that always been a thing though? Like, depending on what side you get your ear pierced.
Apparently it was huge in like the 70s as well. It was a big thing in the 70s. I was like, oh, okay.
I just have my fucking towel on my right hand side because I'm right-handed. So
that makes sense.
Just pull it out with my right hand.
I just never thought there was anything to it. I was just like, oh, okay. It was just interesting.
Like Fresh Prince, which we just finished watching, and there's a joke in there at some point early in the show about the parrot. Parrot, sorry. He thinks he's talking to Will, and the guy's like, hey, I don't swing that way. Look at what shoulder the parrot's on. Completely out of context. What? Love it. Also, if you guys havenent seen the Bel Air reboot, complete, like, off-topic, but before this match starts, while we just milk it and the crowd are losing their shit before they've even touched, go check out the Bel Air reboot.
Yeah.
But look at it more as a reimagining, more than a remake.
Yeah, but still, make sure you watch the old one first, because there's a little Easter eggs.
So many
really
Easter
good.
eggs.
Makes you pop. Some of the episodes very similar, but they're different. So it's good. It's good shit.
And Will Smith, keep your wife's name out my fucking mouth, is an executive producer, and I believe he did co-write some of the content. So you know that it's in good hands.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good quality. It was giving me Power vibes. Actually, that's a show on Stan that I watch. It was giving me a little bit of that kind of vibes, the way the writing was, and it was a bit darker.
Look at that.
Oh, here we go. We're ready to go.
The bell rings, and just the bell ringing. Yeah!
Hook up, brother.
Imagine this was like the year 2022, the bell rings. Holy shit.
You still got it.
Before they've even touched, the bell rings. Fight forever. Look at this though, and this is why I'll always give Hulk Hogan credit. Despite never being the greatest wrestler, just the body language and the timing, just the little nuance of the way that he kind of turned his face to one side, and he turned it back to the other side, and he milked every fucking second of it.
His psychology always has been pretty good though.
And HBK kind of working heel-ish.
Yeah.
Like he's almost like backpedaling a little bit. He talked his way into a fight that in his mind, he knows he can't win. And there we have the first sign of Shawn Michaels overselling. And again.
Fucking love it.
This whole match
sell was great.
This whole match is just him overselling just to be a dick to Hulk Hogan. And you notice Hulk's face. He's genuinely getting mad.
It's like he's trying to Hulk up Hulk. Like, he's just like, I'm going to make you pissed off. You're acting like a dick backstage.
Like, the first one made sense, but the second shove, and he's like...
Yeah. It's like before you were saying.
Honestly, I blame, like, this match for me overselling everything just to pop myself, because I know that it pisses people off.
It always pops me though. I just think it's great. I don't know, like I don't feel like it kills the business. It adds a bit of comedy
like
to
Damien Priest, the oversell that he
yeah.
did on fucking Riddle's GTS this past week on Raw as we record this. So smart because one, he's a big dude. You can't just straight up go boom bump. So he oversold it and just crumpled it. It was amazing.
Some of Troy Miguel's fucking oversold's fantastic as well.
I still say the Devon Dudley, like again, shoulder tackle, pops up, falls out of the ring. Hulk throws the bandana, damn near bumps off the fucking bandana, hitting him at the same time as well. You know the referee means business when he's standing on the ropes. He didn't even lean over the ropes. He literally stood up on the turnbuckles and was like, "Hey, you get back in here right now." Fuck, he looks young though. It's weird because in the face he still looks the same like in real life. Kyoto.
Yeah.
It's weird because from behind he looks younger because he's got like more hair. Is it Kyoto?
I think it is.
Because it's not Hebner, he's way too young.
I think it's Kyoto. He just looks really young.
Yeah.
But he still looks the same in the face. I can see what you mean.
It's hard because like there's still got the smoke from all the pyro and shit in those days. And my vision's blurry at the best of times. I was like, I swear it's Kyoto. Wow. I can still taste that passion fruit.
It's so strong,
from like
but
that
it's
one
good.
sip.
It's good.
Up. Oh, right in the cojones.
It was really funny because that first kick didn't look like he really held back. He was a bit pissed off at fucking Sean. But then the other two, you could see he held back a little bit with the kicks. It's like, was that a receipt? Because he's just pissed off Sean. Fuck's sake, these oversells are fucking brilliant.
Super, like, literally springboard flip bump after being thrown headfirst into the turnbuckle. Shout out to Nick Martino, who did something similar against Birdman, by the way, and then I did the same thing in my match against Birdman, because why not? Rams his head into the top buckle, turns around, does a flip. It's very Mr. Perfect-esque as well, that sign of bump. But Sean tops everyone by doing a fucking springboard along with it. I mean, it does make Hulk look powerful. It's like he's lifted him up by the scruff of his neck. It's so weird, though, because, like, Shawn Michaels is still, like, 6'1", 6'2". Like, he's still a tall guy.
Yeah.
But then he's next to Hulk, who's, like, 6'4". He actually genuinely was, like, 6'6" back in the day. Clothesline over the top, and then pops up, rolls, bump.
It's like someone, like, into comedy that's literally fell down the stairs, and they got up, and it's like, oh, fuck, and then rolls again. Like, fuck. That was great. That popped me so much.
There is a video somewhere. It's like a 3-minute long compilation with like all Sean's bumps, and they have put the Benny Hill music to it. You know the.
Yes.
I love that. Nobody in the world has ever done that. So many people slammed onto the Giant. Hogan wasn't even the first to do it. He was just the first to do it in the mainstream. Oh, fucking hell.
Here we go. What's going to happen now?
Slingshot. Ow! That's a classic spot, though. The slingshot and make him flip bump from the apron into the ring. It's a very 80s spot. But even the clothesline, it was like Hulk just got him in the face and he genuinely slid on the bump. Like, I don't think that one was even an oversell. He was just like, fuck. Because he was being a dickhead running into it.
Was that a mistake? Because he didn't look like he held back with that. Was that like, fuck you, making me slide before?
It looked like you got him in the chest.
Yeah. It's like for whacking him in the face.
It's literally like, it's a beautiful, like, because again, this is the year 05 when it happened. It was a beautiful blend of the 80s and the 90s style. Because obviously he's very much in 90s Shawn Michaels mode here. But it was perfect for this time frame. Like the over the top in terms of the poses and stuff in the 80s, and then the over the top of like the bumps and the selling and stuff in the 90s.
Yeah. great.
Oh, he slapped him twice. Oh. Hogan bitched the fuck out of that turnbuckle bump, though.
What the fuck is going on with his hair right now? He looks like fucking old mate from Back to the Future.
I was going to say Mr. Fish Odor from Bob's Burgers, but I guess we're in the same kind of realm.
Yeah.
Or Rick from Rick and Morty. People have fan casted Christopher Lloyd as both of those roles, so why not? He just took a fucking right hand and did a flip bump on the apron.
Oh, God.
Like, look at his back. It's so red already because he's just throwing him. Like, I'll give him credit. Like, the amount of back issues that Sean's had over the years.
I don't know.
On one hand, he's being a dickhead, but on the other hand, he's literally just throwing his body like nothing.
I don't know if I'm meant to be crying. I don't know if it's meant to be this funny, but I'm finding it fucking hilarious.
Well, that's one of those things. It's one thing that's like, it's a good match. It honestly, like, it's a great match, but just Sean's selling alone. And because I've prefaced this by saying, take note of Sean selling, that's why people wanted us to do a watch-along.
It's literally, getting me to watch it as a fan. I'm not fucking, like, I'm marking out. I'm not paying attention to what I usually do, because you kind of ruined it for me, where I haven't been able to really watch wrestling the same or as a fan anymore.
Yeah, that was a bump. That was a botch. That was a botch.
That was a botch. That was a botch. Okay.
I can see him calling spots.
Yeah, I can see him calling spots. Fuck. But literally, I'm not even looking for it in this until I've just mentioned it now. I'm literally watching it as a fan.
Something I've never noticed, though. The way Sean just flipped the fucking Spanish announce table when he got up, like, fuck off, like, get out of here. I've never noticed that. That was great.
So, this is just a weird analogy to kind of go off. But you know how you watch some shows and the acting is that good, you forget that it's a TV show? I'm getting that from this match. I'm getting that. Like,
Hogan went face first into the ring post.
he's literally trying to he was trying to position him. It's like fucking Hulk was just like, yeah, fucking nut. Like, it's like he was rock solid, like he wouldn't move his feet into it. That was crazy. Oh shit, just take off the fucking barricade. It's all good.
Shawn Michaels very clearly attempting to hardway Hulk Hogan with those shots.
It's like, fuck you, buddy.
Shawn just almost slipped on the ropes. That one there wasn't a sell. Hogan literally just threw him off.
Yeah, he threw him. That was a spot call, goddammit.
3, 4. And again, just launches him. And Shawn's like, fuck, that one actually hurt. Took a minute to get back to his feet.
Yeah, he's a bit groggy on that one.
And I like it too, because in a way they've made it almost look like it's a fight. And then, okay, turn the camera. He didn't blade, not at all.
No, not at all.
Like, you can literally see the line clear as day across his fucking forehead. Oh, fucking hell. That's why Sean's punching him. He's like, you're meant to blade, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Punch you until you bleed instead. And then Hulk's like, oh shit, yeah. Wouldn't be a classic Hulk Hogan match without Hulk Hogan being covered in blood.
See, if these two weren't like not on the best,
blood in his eye.
like if these two were on the best of terms, it probably could have went better. But like, you literally could have had the blade like in his hand and tried to do it if he trusted him. You know what I mean? To make it look like he's punching him, but not.
WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart did that to Stone Cold. He punched him and bladed him.
Yeah. if you can do it, if you trust your opponent, I feel like that could look really good.
It's funny because Hulk made the excuse going into this that he had back problems. And up until now, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
But it does look like he is starting to favour it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of both. He had a sore back, but he was playing up just how bad.
Yeah.
Classic fucking 80s spot, sleeper hold, pouring blood. Can he stay in it? Will he stay in it? By God, Hulk Hogan is fading. Hogan is fading. Shawn Michaels choking the life out of the Hulkster. He needs the Hulkamaniacs to wheel him back into this back out. Oh no, Hogan's eyes are closing. His eyes are closing.
He's fleeting. He's fleeting.
His limbs are getting weak. He's losing his footing. He's slinking away. Oh God, he's dropped to a knee. The Hulkster dropped to a knee.
What in the slobberknockers?
I love Coach. Coach, honestly, is a very underrated commentator. But I feel like this match should have just been JR and King in hindsight.
That's why I was like, what in the slobberknockers? Like, I was literally hinting at that.
Because JR is like almost third wheeling to Coach and King in this one.
Yeah.
And in 2005, when JR still very much at the top of his game, it's like, bro. Oh no. Oh. Hogan's arm has dropped. If it drops one more time, this match will be over. And Michael says, no.
Oh, no.
Hulk Hogan says no. The Hulkamaniacs are wheeling him to his feet. By God, what a belly to back suplex. Shawn Michaels with that surgically repaired back. It's rather in pain.
I think he just fucked his back though. He's just tweaking. I think Hulk hurt his back. He's tweaking.
Yeah, Hulk landed tailbone first on that suplex.
Because he kind of was tweaking there and I was like, oh, fuck.
And then he just got a Shawn just overselling it. And Hulk
Shawn was just going with it. He was doing like he was mocking him what he was doing. And it's like, no, I actually hurt myself, mate. Like...
I think the issue is Hogan's blown up by this point. I mean, you can't blame him. It's 05.
Yeah.
You know, I love that, like, literally both of Shawn's arms are just covered in Hogan's blood, though.
Yeah. So when he had him in that sleeper hold, it was just, like, pouring.
Someone, somewhere, probably has, like, a piece of that canvas on the shore. Either that or it's just in the warehouse, but... Shawn Michaels on the top rope. Oh, Hogan moved out of the way of the elbow. Hogan back to his feet. He was playing possum by God. The Hulkamaniacs. You. This is not where Shawn Michaels wants to be. 2, 3. And now he's winding him up. Oh, Shawn Michaels.
Oh, and they take out the ref.
Shawn Michaels had that boot scouted with a second forearm. Does he have it in himself? Can he kip up for a second time by God? Kyoto's head looks like he's bleeding too, but I think it's because when he, like, rolled out, he, like, rolled through the puddle of blood.
Yeah, because it looked like there's a couple droplets near his head.
Yeah,
and like, fuck.
I think he, like, rolled through Hulk's blood. And he nipped up for a second time, by God.
That was the biggest heel move ever. I was like, yeah, he's going on the top rope. And then he's like, haha, you want it? No. And then
I
just
love
gets
this too, because I
fucking
feel like the way he did that, it was almost like ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Because they were like, yay, they're cheering.
I think that's what he was
Shawn
going
says,
off.
nope.
He's like, nah, fuck you.
Sharpshooter. You can tell Hulk's back's fucked because he can barely even cross his legs and lift him up for the shot. Like, look at the way, it's probably hurting more because of the way it's fucking twisted.
Fuck.
Sharpshooter.
Super uncomfortable.
My God, we got a second referee out here. Will Hogan tap out? Fuck me, that's like the loosest sharpshooter I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, God. Oh, it's so bad. You can see that he's not bending up, though.
Michael was just like, yeah, fuck yeah. He's trying with everything he's got to not actually hurt him.
Yeah.
Look at that shot though. Like,
how fucking good.
everyone's like, Hogan tapped. Hogan was the master of doing that when he was in submissions though. He'd hit the mat and they're like, oh my god, did he just tap? And it's like, no, he's trying to get like the crowd.
Man, I wish I could do wrestling photography. That'd be so good.
What a shot though.
So beautiful.
Like, yeah, okay, it wasn't the most beautiful sharpshooter, but that's what makes that Stone Cold Steve Austin photo so iconic.
Yeah.
He's in the sharpshooter, so he's up, he's on his fucking arms, he's looking straight out, and the blood's just on his face.
It was just good. And then you just had kind of like,
oh my god!
in the distance you had Shawn, he's just kind of turning around to look like at Hulk, and it just would have been a great shot.
We have a second official now.
Oh no!
Hulk Hogan, so strong, he managed to kick Shawn Michaels off the sharpshooter into the official, and now he's on coach's back out.
Oh man!
But like, even the crowd, they're at like a medium compared to what there was, but they're still murmuring.
Yeah.
And they're literally just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, they're just selling at the moment.
Fucking, his knee brace has come undone. That actually does make me cringe watching it back. Shawn Michaels with a low blow. He just kicked Hulk Hogan right in the little Hulksters.
Oh, man.
Oh, that rat bastard Triple H. Sorry, force of habit. That rat bastard Shawn Michaels with a steel chair. The classic fucking brownie green chairs.
Yes.
Just bent the chair on the turnbuckle. Fuck. He's like, oh, that's geeked up a little bit too good. But just the timing. Hogan's going to turn around. Ooh. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. He's turning. Bam! That was a fucking well-placed chair shot too.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked really good.
Bam! The way Hulk's selling it on the ground like he's just been murdered. Like Michael's just shot a man. And now it's time for the elbow drop. Bam!
The psychology in this match has just been brilliant.
It's like he wasn't gonna give him the elbow, but then he gets to the point where he's like, fuck, like, that's one of my things, I have to do it.
It's kind of like, he placed it really well,
even the look of disgust he gave the fans when he popped back up after hitting it, he's just like, shut up, and like shrugged him off.
Yeah, it's just good psychology.
And he's gonna tune up the band, but how does that work? He needs the fans. And you even see his face, he tunes the band and he's like, damn it! And they're counting along with him, and he's like, the look of disgust on his face that they're counting along with him, but that's what he's going to do. That's where the move gets its power, by God.
Yes. He's charging up his legs. Okay, he's getting ready.
Sweet chin music! Sweet chin music! Shawn Michaels has beaten the Hulkster. 1, 2... Oh my God! Hulk Hogan! Oh, here we go! He just launched.
He's hulking up.
He's hulking up. And the pop. The fucking pop. It works every time.
They thought it was over. It's not over.
But the fact that's where the psychology comes into play, because it's like, that's Hulk's thing. That's what he does. But at this point in the match, he'd already done the finger point. He'd already done the thing.
You thought it was over.
Boom. And here we go for a second time. Oh, here we go. Here comes the greatest fucking sell.
Oh, I'm keen for this.
My God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Shawn Michaels turned inside out with the boot of the Hulkster.
He's still like tweaking on the ground. Oh, fuck, that's fantastic.
The fucking pop. Oh, I forgot how good this match was.
Oh,
and like,
so
Shawn
good.
selling just...
I think this is literally going up there as one of my favourite matches. Holy fuck, this is good. Fuck yeah. I think this is literally one of my new favourite matches. I don't remember it being this good. Even seeing just the little highlights in there, I don't remember it being this fucking good.
And now Hogan's going to pause literally for like 5 minutes. Pause. Blah, blah, blah. I'm killing a slug.
Real American.
Imagine being those people like that have the letters on their shirts.
Yeah.
It's like, we lost the H. Now we're just Hulk. Hulk rules, brother! That sign needed more R's, I think.
Yes.
Another good one, it's like not comedic like selling, but SummerSlam the year after, Hulk versus Randy Orton. Fantastic match. Like, you knew, like, obviously, he'd already faced, Cactus 2 years before that, but his match with Hogan, you just knew that, like, Orton 100% was going to be something. Oh my God, Shawn Michaels! Oh, Shawn Michaels just shoved the Hulkster! Shawn Michaels just shoved the Hulkster! He's a sore loser, by God! You lost! Get out of the ring, damn it! It hurts to lose. It's Hogan at SummerSlam, by God. What? Shawn Michaels just extended a hand to the Hulkster. Shawn Michaels just extended his hand to the Hulkster. And the fans are like booing him. They're like, no.
They know what's gonna happen.
Or do they?
Oh, do they?
And Hulk Hogan says, blah, blah, blah. Don't you dare oversell him again, brother. I'll tell you what, brother. Brother. And Shawn Michaels says, all right, good match. Whole thing, Shawn Michaels had to know if he could beat Hulk Hogan, and the answer was no.
Yeah.
But he still hung in there. The interesting thing...
I love it then he's like, I love you. I love every single one of you. It's like, what?
The interesting thing about all of this, though, is I mentioned it earlier, like Hogan said that he had like back injuries and yada, yada, yada. I'm just trying to end the feed there. There we go. And the feed. Close that. So Hulk Hogan and Shawn, and it has been confirmed by like JR and Bruce and stuff like that, where there was meant to be a rematch to that. And Shawn was meant to go over, or alternatively, I believe Shawn was meant to go over here because, he cheated and blah, blah, blah. And then even despite that, it's kind of like they'd show respect, and he's like, no, beat me fair and square. And that's when you just have straight up, Heartbreak Kid versus Hogan, still probably cheat a little bit because he's Shawn Michaels, but it was more, sportsmanlike. But Hulk was just like, oh, my back. I don't know if I can make it through this match, brother. Oh, brother. So it went over because that doesn't work for me, brother. And that blends into the question that Bo asks. I'm not even going to do the transition back out of it. We'll just finish this rant and wrap up the episode. But pretty much, Hulk Hogan, is famous for the whole, that doesn't work for me, brother. I'll just let the TV keep going because if I unplug the HDMI, my recording will stop again. But Hulk Hogan, as I said, notorious for that doesn't work for me, brother. And Bo wanted to ask, and I don't know how I can answer this, because he just said to me, he said, why didn't Hulk Hogan play ball more often? And that's a very interesting tidbit, because from his day, I both get it, but also pisses me off at the same time, because you harken back to the late 80s, early 90s. One story specifically that sticks out is they were doing live event tours, and Jake the Snake was working Hogan, and he was more over. So Vince pulled the fucking plug. They would have made so much money, but both Vince and Hulk especially his ego couldn't handle the fact that Jake the Snake was being cheered over him.
And that's what I think. That's what I think it is. I think it comes down to his ego, Terry's ego.
And I don't know how I can answer this question. I appreciate the question, Bo. It was the only one that sent questions in, but I don't know how I can answer it because I'm biased in that regard. Like I understand, the business is cutthroat, and there's the story where Macho Man made Jake the Snake Roberts, get bitten by the snake before he'd gotten bitten by the snake, and then Jake beat the shit out of the snake, so it really dug in to Macho Man when it was let out of the bag as payback. But everyone was so paranoid about their spot, and it's hard because it's a completely different time.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the 80s, 90s, even 05, where the match we just watched, I don't think you could look at in 2020, we'll say, just to round it up. We're recording this in 2022, but in 15 years in 2020, wrestling will be like this. Well, I feel like 2020 even is more appropriate because they wrestled through a pandemic with no fucking audience. How the fuck does that work, right? Especially in the 80s. But I don't know, I think it just comes down to, at the end of the day, the business, it is cutthroat, whether for right or wrong. I personally think it's the wrong thing to do. I get it, even if it was one match, Hulk went over. It is what it is. I'm sure Sean didn't have any issues, doing it. But it's like, hey, if it is going to be one match, why not give Shawn Michaels, the guy who's still going to be here next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, a momentous win against Hulk Hogan? Because at that point, he'd done a lot in his career, but he missed 4 years, came back in 2002, he'd won a world title, but at that point, he kind of really hadn't done it, right? Like, he was a transitional champion. Triple H did the Reign of Terror, which is another thing people bitch about, where he buried everyone. I disagree. He elevated a lot of people. He's lost the most matches at WrestleMania, yada, yada. But why couldn't Shawn Michaels have won that match? And I think that's what he's getting at, because I said in the thing that I was doing a watch-along of that. So that's why he's setting the question. Why do you think, why didn't Hulk Hogan play ball, especially in this situation, but throughout his career? But I believe he was getting at this one.
See, when I look at it, I see it as I can see it from both sides. So I've always thought, Hulk, Terry, is a bit egotistical.
There's been a lot said about him in the last few years that we don't need to repeat because it's out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that makes me think this, and I don't know if it's because I'm a bit biased. But then you look at it at the same time, and I can see it as flip the switch. What if this was Undertaker and a new guy? Who would you want to win? Is it this nostalgia of you really like this character? You really love Hulk, right? You really love him. You want him to win. Do you favour to what the crowd is wanting? Or are you looking at it as a long-term thing where you're looking at, you should have gave it to Shawn because he's been there longer. You can build a bit more. You could have another rematch laid down the track. It opens up opportunities for the creative writing perspective of it. So it's I can see it from both points of view. And it's just looking at Hulk with a lot of other things. It's respect the veteran kind of thing. Yep. But at the same time, you've got new talent that deserves it as well, that's been working and grinding every week. Not for someone to just come back. Sometimes this is what shits me with Goldberg. It's going a bit off topic here, but this is what shits me sometimes with Goldberg is he just comes back, he wrecks everyone, he wins.
In a way, I feel like that's the best way to do it, but it should be with specific, the match at SummerSlam with Dolph.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler is in a prime position to, and my thing is with you used Undertaker and a young thing. I feel like it's double standards to an extent with the example that I'm about to do, but it's also kind of apples and oranges, right? Shawn Michaels, did he, think about it, that year at WrestleMania, he tapped out to Kurt Angle. He didn't lose anything from that, but ultimately they had a feud that spread out for a few months when Kurt Angle eventually got drafted over. He did win that Iron Man match, blah, blah, blah. Even if that didn't happen, he still wouldn't have lost any momentum or anything from the original loss. Yeah. And I feel like it's Hulk Hogan. Shawn Michaels was still very much established. A loss doesn't damage him, but the example you do it is Undertaker versus a young guy. Maybe I'm biased, but it's no, because it's two completely different situations.
Yeah.
Randy Orton actually beat Undertaker on this show, but ultimately Taker wins the feud. But it's give and take. It's apples and oranges. Wrestling is subjective with each Like, literally every single wrestling match in history.
Yeah.
You look at, you could sit there and analyze it, and it's all different from a grand scheme of things. But I just think Shawn Michaels didn't lose anything, which is fine. No. But why wouldn't you, just out of respect, like, hey, Hulk, you know the business, we're going to go in this direction. You could have had Shawn Michaels go on a heel turn. Yeah. And be like almost, because he was literally just he was parodying himself, right? Yeah. He was aware of the fact that back in the 90s, he was an obnoxious, coked out little fuck. And he was literally making fun of himself in the entire build-up with Hogan and that match. You could have had Shawn Michaels go and do some of the best character work of his life with the victory. And I get it, he turns face, whatever, shake hands, but why does Hulk Hogan, like, I've said this before, and I think it was on the pod with you, like, without Hulk Hogan, where's professional wrestling? Without professional wrestling, where am I? That's a scary fucking thing to think about. But even still, like, you've still got to give back to the business, I feel. Like, Hulk Hogan went to TNA and he, tapped out for Sting and blah, blah, blah. But again, it's on the same threshold. Sting was already an established star. Yeah. What did he gain from making Hulk Hogan tap out?
Yeah, that's
Whereas you fast forward, rewind rather, 2002, King of the Ring, Kurt Angle, rising star, Hulk Hogan for the first time in his career taps out to Kurt Angle. Yeah. Kurt Angle goes on to make The Undertaker tap out. Now, his shoulders were pinned at the same time, so it was a draw, blah, 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 blah. First person to make Hulk Hogan tap out. On a technicality, still the first person to make The Undertaker tap out. He makes, he makes John Cena tap out multiple times. Even when Cena had been the Doctor of Thugonomics, he was on the ride, early 04, I think it was late 03, early 04, John Cena taps out to Kurt Angle. He goes on WrestleMania, as I just said, makes Shawn Michaels tap out. Like, that is like, it's a building thing. Did Hulk lose anything from tapping out to Kurt Angle?
No.
Here we are 3 years later, and he is still Hulk Hogan, and everyone's losing their fucking minds.
Exactly. It's the nostalgia factor that's there, too.
And then people be like, oh, but Hulk won the feud because he took Angle's fucking, wig off and made him bald, revealed that he was bald and yada, yada, yada. Whatever. He still made Hogan tap out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why in that vein, I don't know if we're making sense or if we're even answering Bo's question, but why in that vein could Shawn Michaels not get the win? Like, why does Hulk have to be like, oh, well, I should win this match, and blah, 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 blah. And, it's all speculation, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but for, everyone that has actually been backstage that's basically said that, we made the decision as a collective that seeing as how there's only one match, we'd give Hulk the win. Okay, fair enough, like, that's your decision, you're booking it, but he brought it up because of this match, and he went back through, basically, that's what I said, why did Hulk not play ball throughout his entire career? And that was spurred off, this match, as I've just explained. So, I don't know. Like, there's so many people that are not Hulk Hogan that have the same fucking mindset. So, I don't know. I think the answer is it's just professional wrestling and
that's it.
Politics and it's fucking bullshit.
It's politics. He's got.
I disagree with it, but
it's politics, like, as well. Like, you look at it. He's been there longer, so he's got maybe a bit more pull than Shawn does. You look at it a whole different, like, things. Like, you look at, do you go with past versus present? So do you go with the past talent or do you go with the future talent? Like, it's just like, there's so much here.
Yeah, like it was, for thinking about WrestleMania 18, which was 2002, and it was Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, and Hulk Hogan was still semi-active, so it was Icon versus Icon. Here we are 3 years later, Hulk is basically semi-retired now, so it's like, okay, now it's Legend versus Icon, and, Shawn Michaels obviously now a legend in his own right, but it's just that slow build of why, okay, he's already established. Shawn Michaels, I'd argue that some of the best matches Shawn Michaels had were 08, 09, like both the matches he had with Taker at WrestleMania, but that first one in 2009, the first WrestleMania match that Taker and Shawn had, they were both very late in their career, but that was one of the greatest matches for both of them respectively, right? Yeah. So obviously Sean doesn't lose anything by losing this match. But, vice versa. It's all... I'm ADHD. I don't know if I'm making questions.
Yeah,
but
it's all marketing too. Like, you look at it, and it's like Hulk winning panders to the crowds too. Like, because they've got that nostalgia there from when they were kids watching it. Because
you could argue the same thing right now with Roman. As I said, people are like, oh, it's boring. He's been champion for, hasn't been pinned since 2019. And people are like, oh, it doesn't count because he disappeared for a few months because of COVID. Still hasn't been pinned since that date, right? But, people are like, oh, he hasn't been pinned for this long. He's been champion for this long. It's boring.
Yeah, but how many
other people... And then you look at the ratings. If you want to look at it from a marketing standpoint, well, it's not that bad then, is it?
Yeah, but you look at it too, and you look at how many people that literally have long title reigns because of COVID. He's not the only one. Like...
Yeah. I think the problem is he won the title just as we're coming out, but because he took that time off during the pandemic, everyone's like, it doesn't count that he hasn't been pinned since then. Well,
it's stupid.
Actually, fun fact, they're completely related. I saw a thing, the first time he was ever pinned on the main roster, someone pointed out, was actually from Jey Uso.
Oh, that's really cool.
Just a really cool
that's
little
really
tidbit
actually,
that I thoroughly enjoyed. It makes me more excited for the bloodline to eventually dissolve. I reckon he'll face Rock, but it's one of those things where pandering to the crowd, this, that, whatever. There's not really an answer. It's professional wrestling. It's yay or nay. From a personal standpoint, I disagree. Like Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix just did a show in Mexico. They booked themselves to lose to QT Marshall and Aaron Solo.
Okay.
Two people who, I don't want to say jobbers, but not the biggest of stars within the grand scheme of things on the AEW roster and whatever. They're running the show. They could win to anyone, and they're like, no, these guys are putting the work. We're gonna put them over. And there was like a big fucking smudge after the match where Roosh come out and took both their masks, which is disrespectful because obviously Roosh has a lucha libre history and they did it in Mexico, but
it's interesting.
It's two very different mindsets, right? Like Pentagon is, sorry to cut you off, I'll let you get to your point, but lucha libre is where that really happens. Like Mil Mascaras, Bruce Pritchard always makes fun on his podcast because he was the Mexican Hulk Hogan in a lot of ways. We want you to live. Oh, sorry, no English, no yob. And that's what he always says. He says no yob because Mil Mascaras refused the job, and whenever it was brought up, he'd act like he didn't know how to speak English.
Yeah. You know what interests me though is the fact that who they put over weren't like Hispanic stars in Mexico. So they're people that are definitely unknown. Like, they're probably not unknown, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not big stars in Mexico too. So that's even more interesting. Like, that's really cool.
It's like these guys have busted their ass. QT Marshall, one of the head trainers at the Nightmare Factory, he's put in the work. He's never going to be Hulk Hogan, right? But the fucking Pentagon and Phoenix are basically like, we could have beat them and then had Roosh attack them. Yeah. But no, they lost and then were still attacked. Yeah. So, like, in a way, like, people can say,
it was a cool way to book.
Like, people are like, oh, it's overshadowed because they were attacked. But they booked themselves to lose is my point.
That's cool.
In their home country.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's their home country. They're big stars. They're like the Hulks and that probably of Mexico,
and this is where we could go on a massive rant and be like, well, fucking Bret Hart was going to lose to Shawn the next night on Raw, but not in Canada. Shut the fuck up. Like, sure, he can't lose to Shawn Michaels, who's already a star, but Pentagon and Phoenix in 2022 can go to their home country and lose to QT Marshall. Yeah. Like, that's no disrespect to QT. That dude, fantastic wrestler. Yeah. If I ever had the means to train under him, I would fucking do that in a heartbeat. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we answered your question there, Bo. But I think the reason he didn't play ball is just because it's professional wrestling. We can minimize the bullshit as much as we like, but the reality is it's never fully going to go away. There's always going to be politics to an extent for whether right, wrong, or indifferent. It was a different time when Hogan was in there, so he would come in and he played the vet card, and now I'm very indifferent to the vet card because sometimes it can be a good thing. If there's a young fella or a young woman, whatever the case, and they're acting like a little fuckknuckle and you've been around for 20 years, you can be like, oi, sit the fuck down, you and I are going to have a chat. Yeah. But if you're just, I'm not losing to that person because I've been... no. It's not how this works.
No.
Maybe back in the day, but everyone knows what professional wrestling is now. Even in 2005, where we were just watching that, everyone knew what professional wrestling was. And there was a lot of people clinging onto nostalgia, but I'd like to point out how many young kids that were like, 8 or 9, dressed up as Hogan, very much like me, because they'd heard their dad or their grandfather or their grandmother, mum, whatever family member, talk about Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Andre the Giant and all that. Like, it's understand, as you said, marketing, I understand, because it's bringing generations together. But
and you look at it too from like a political standpoint. You look at who's pulling strings and stuff, and you look at it who got a lot more creative freedom than other wrestlers too. Who got given a bit more creative freedom when it come to stuff. Hulk did, right?
You can say that for a lot of stars.
You look at it, but you look at it and like, it's just, when you've told me some of the history and stuff of him, it's like he got, like, it wasn't something to do with his contract. He got a bit more creative freedom than some other wrestlers did. I guess where you told me something about that.
WCW specifically, basically Hulk and Nash and all that were, even when they didn't have the book, they had the book, you know what I mean? Like, they were Bischoff's boys. They were,
And see, I feel like that's another thing that plays on his ego. He was used to that.
Yeah.
So he was used to having a bit more creative freedom. So I feel like that's another reason why he probably didn't play ball, because he's like, this is not what I want.
He went from being Vince's boys to getting, like, most of what he wanted to getting everything he wanted, and then he comes back and he has a little run, has arguably the best matches of his career with, Triple H, Jericho, Angle.
I tend to say this a lot, but it's kind of like, it's looking at CM Punk right now. It's spoiled child syndrome. Yeah. That's literally what it seems like when you look at it.
Except whether people like it or not, CM Punk will never be a star like Hulk Hogan.
No.
Fucking come at me.
Definitely not. That's not what I'm relating him to at all.
I just wanted to get that shot in because I know it pisses people off.
Yeah, but it's like, that's not what I'm relating to him at all. But I just mean, like, the spoiled child thing is he was getting what he wanted.
He was getting what he wanted to an extent, and then decided that still wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
More.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
And that's the part of where his ego, Terry's ego, comes into it. And it affects the character.
And even later on, when he went to TNA Impact, as I said, he had a couple of matches, but for the most part, he was the general manager or whatever the fuck he was in kayfabe. Behind the scenes, he was making a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good. Like, the company almost died.
Yeah, and see, this is what I mean. This is what I'm getting at.
We've brought in Hulk Hogan, arguably the biggest star of all time. At that point, obviously, John Cena's gone on, and then to this day, Stone Cold still has the most merch sales with his Austin 316 shirt and whatever else, but we're going to bring in Hulk Hogan. Imagine on paper, what does that do for the company?
Yeah.
Fuck, we're going to beat WWE, and then he comes in and goes on TV and talks about how he's going to beat WWE and Vince McMahon, blah, 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 and everyone just goes...
And that's what I think.
All because he had a falling out with Vince over like merch rights and blah blah blah. So he literally goes to another company to try and put them out of business, and almost kills the company that he's in.
This is off topic. And it relates back to the last episode. But this is where I think Khan's starting to go wrong. He's trying to compare himself, and he has to be bigger. He has to be better. The ego is getting there. The ego and the power, and this is where it relates back into Hulk.
He literally just did a press conference, conference call or something, some sort of interview, just after WWE announced Crown Jewel. And he's like, we don't have to go to Saudi Arabia. The Crown Jewel of wrestling is right here in the Northeast America. Why do you need to throw that pot shot in there?
Yeah.
Just promote your fucking product.
You're a different product, dude. Like, I still feel like they're a different fucking product. They're like catered to, like, I guess the hardcore wrestling fans. And then you've got WWE that caters to wrestling entertainment. They're different fucking products. And I'm going to keep going, like, saying this till the freaking cows come home.
They're never going to be as big as WWE, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because they don't pander to the casuals as much as WWE does.
Yeah, they're a different friggin' product.
The thing is, right, AEW does good things, bad things. WWE does good things, bad things. As much as they do the bad things, the hardcores can sit there and say, fuck this, I'm not going to watch again. They're still going to watch again. And even like us, like, I still keep up every week with AEW, and that's how I saw the clip of Saraya debuting to bring it back to the start of the episode, and that's how I marked the fuck out, and I was like, oh my god, I wish we had have actually watched this episode, but...
Even when you look at some of the indie companies like Impact and stuff, sometimes I'm like, they shit me off. sometimes I'm like, fuck, this is some good shit. This is a good
we've said
product.
this multiple times, but the rant I went on that time, me and Big James were talking about this, like how many good indie promotions there is now and how they have so many notable indie names on their show. And I'm like, that's because there's
Warrior Wrestling.
That's because there's that much indie talent out there that all the companies can be like, well, I'll take this guy and I'll take this guy. And this guy's over here like, fuck, I'm a talented wrestler, but that show's booked out. Hey, you guys got a spare spot? Cool. Like, it's amazing. It's a completely different time, completely irrelevant. We seem to, for the most part, be out of that. But I think the answer to the question is it's just the nature of the beast. And we can, say it to the cows come home. We can try our best, minimize it as much as we possibly can, keep it in check, keep it under wraps, and that's fine. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with having creative opinions or creative freedom. Like,
exactly.
to tell me, hey, you're going to wrestle this guy and you're going to do this move, and then he's going to kick out, and then you're going to do this move, and then that's when I come in and that's the finish. Yep. Motherfucker, like, if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you want me to go out there, let me put my spin on it because I know what my character would do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I feel like it should work.
And that's what Terry does a lot. It's like, well, Hulk wouldn't be in this situation. Motherfucker, the script says he is, so he is.
Yeah, he is. And then...
make the most of it.
You know what your job is? To get your character to do that. Like, so you twist it in a way... Yeah, make it make sense. That's literally your job. Your job is to make it make sense. So you have creative control over your character. They have creative control over the outcome. That's what I think it should be.
I'm going to wrap it up after this because I'm not going to harp on it. But so I said to a certain promoter that said, oh, you can't have creative control. And I'm like, no, I don't want creative control. I want creative freedom of my character in the situations that you put me in.
Yeah.
I can make it make sense. Put trust in me to do that. And that's why guys like Hulk, though, did get that kind of brother, because they did prove that they could be put in situations and they could draw and they could make it make sense. But then it goes to their head and they're like, oh, I can do this. No. Like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're the wrestler, they're the boss. If you've got ideas, chuck them out there. But
don't be a little bitch when they don't like your
ideas.
For
every idea that I've had okayed by a boss, regardless of where it is, and the handful of promotions that I've had the pleasure to work, there's been fucking 10, 20, 30... I'd hate to think how many ideas that I've presented at times that, I've had one great idea and 30 decent ideas, but to the promoter it's like, no, maybe not now. And I've actually had ideas that I've pitched that have ended up with other people because it made more sense for them when you looked at it. And I'm like, I ain't going to get mad. Just, hey, fuck, look.
You know what?
Just give me. Just say thank you, and that's.
And you know what? That's where it's great, where your ego is not coming into it, that you're not getting upset about that.
You don't need to be put on a pedestal or whatever. Just kind of,
You know what? Like, and you understand that you don't need that, recognition for it either. You're just seeing that it suits better for this other character. Great, that's better for our product. That's better for our company. You know what I mean? You're looking for the better picture. You're not just being egotistical.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, certain promotion kind of pissed me off because they didn't so much as give me a thank you or, hey, that's a great idea. They just went and did it to somewhere else, and I was like, cool, thanks. And I feel like a piece of shit, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, cool. If it makes more sense for them, go do it.
That's where 100%. That's where I feel like good promotions have good communication. Yeah. That's what I reckon.
But yeah, all in all, it's the number of the beast. Is what it is. Do you have anything else you wanted to add? We've been ranting for about 2.5 hours. Not really.
I feel like I should let everyone go. We're just kind of going in a loop. We keep going, yep, nature of the beast, and then we go on to something else. So yeah, maybe we should cut it.
Ranting, reviewing, and marking out. The song of the week was San Quentin by Nickelback. The match of the week was that fucking amazing match that we just watched. Mrs. Crossfire for the first time ever. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, SummerSlam 2005. Anything else you want to add?
Easily one of my new favourite matches. Just saying.
Check out the links in the description for the social media, the merch, the Amazon wish list, all upcoming events. I am the Essential John L. Crossfire, and you were just caught
in conversation. Catch you guys. Shakalaka.